best.
Yeah. Let's see if they can see us. I'm pushing the button.
No, I hung around for long enough to make sure that it wasn't anything malicious.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I meant to tell you.
Thank you.
Someone did grab the chats from that wasted, so there's a record of that in the X2 Discord.
We're
Record
live.
of you being a good guy.
It fixed it. Okay. Good job, YouTube. You got
Nice.
there eventually. I just had to
Yay!
do the Indiana Jones thing and just dive off the cliff and hope for the best.
Ghost in the Machine, I think.
That was weird. Anyways, hey everybody, welcome back to Tabletop Star Wars with myself, Captain Shaq, as the GM. We've got EckhartsLadder on the left of my GM screen here. What's up, man?
How is it going? I'm doing very well.
Oh man, you guys must be exhausted after all the tournament stuff.
I mean, I missed most of it yesterday. I had my wife had an appointment, so I was with my newborn. So I'm exhausted for a different reason.
Oh, so you weren't in it yesterday. If you guys don't know, they're doing what's the tournament called now? The
Calrissian Cup.
Calrissian Cup for the squadrons.
I was in 3
Okay,
games,
very
but
cool.
the other guys were in 10. And then Charlie basically casted we didn't make the final 16, although I'm still very happy with our performance. But Charlie basically co-streamed it today, so
Nice.
he especially has been very busy.
Very cool. You guys, of course, can find that over on, I'm guessing, Eck 2 for that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me go around the table a little bit more. So we got Corey from Corey Loses. What's up, man?
Hey, I'm good. I didn't do anything for a tournament today, so I'm very well rested, refreshed, and ready to carry Charlie's charred corpse out of this facility.
Oh no. Yeah. Oh boy. That was a thing that happened last week. We'll get into the recap in just a minute because that was rough. We've been talking about that over on the Discord all week. We'd be like, oh man, just let her burn. Anyways, hey Wasted, what's up, dude?
Good evening.
You guys don't know that's Wasted from Wasted Space playing Saren Varga.
You can get there.
I'll get there.
There's
I'm
one
afraid.
before.
I gotta get out of the gear of our other campaign and into this one because we've been playing them really close to each other, which is kind of rough. And then Charlie, what's up, man?
I'm doing good, my man. How about you?
Pretty good. I've been ready. I've been excited for this.
Yeah, same here. I am changing into my pajama bottoms, though.
Make sure the
Timing.
face cam is off, Charlie.
Yep.
Or start charging people to watch at least.
It's not. Well, it's not on this side, so you do what you do, man. All right, everyone, welcome back to Star Wars Tabletop. If you don't know what we're playing, this is the Fantasy Flight Games rule set. It's of course modified to our own liking here and there. A lot of it's vanilla. So if you've ever played it, you'll see a lot of what's going on. You kind of get what's happening. I recommend the system. It's pretty good. We're pretty far into this. We're about to do our recap and jump right into it. But I know we had a lot of questions in the comments of the last one asking, what system is this? And on top of that, what do I use for the table? We are all sitting around this custom table, textured by a few of our guys over on the Discord, over the Armco Discord, which is pretty sweet. And then the rest of it here is stuff off of the workshop, more or less, or made by community members. But this is all in Tabletop Simulator, which you don't have to use it. You can play on like Roll20 is an option. You don't even need a virtual tabletop. You can actually play just over Discord using dice rolling apps, but I like it. It works for us. Make cool maps. I've done a couple
We don't
videos.
trust our friends.
But you can make cool maps on all kinds of stuff where you don't even need them. You can play Theater of the Mind if you want. It works just as well. But all right, I think you guys need anything. You got everything on your sides of the table. Any questions or concerns before we get started?
The pajamas are on.
Pajama bottoms are on. That's the sign that we're ready for tabletop.
Yes.
Normally it's beard pizza, but here it's pajama bottoms, I guess.
I love them.
Oh man.
Sprayed Links Africa down there as well, so I'm very good to go.
All right. Let me get a force roll for you guys. Let's get your destiny points set up.
Oh yeah.
And guys,
another
I will
full
read
side.
donations on the break or
Yeah, me
after
too.
the stream is over.
No,
Probably
we
at the
can't.
break.
I got one back.
So thank you so much for all the
Oh,
support,
too
guys.
light.
Really
Yeah, I
appreciate
got
it.
too late as well.
All right, somebody roll me some dark side. Come on
I
now.
got you one.
Bring me some balance to the force. Wasted's got me. He's gonna roll too dark.
Have I now? We shall see about that.
See his dice right there.
Moment of truth.
Yay! Little dark side.
Wanted to go light, but apparently there's some external force applied.
Haha. Force.
I used the word.
You did the thing.
Did it.
Get behind my GM screen, so. All right. You know what? Who is feeling like they remember what happened, since there wasn't that big of a break? We just played last week. What happened last week, to give us a little bit of a recap?
I was burnt as a corpse in the corner of the room with the child.
Well, you're not dead. You're not
No.
quite a corpse yet.
But Saren was having a... Oh, sorry, go on.
No, you're fine. Please, go on.
Darren was having a little talk with the two Imperial lads in the Lambda shuttle, and Eck and Corey were talking to someone in the control room.
Technician.
Yeah. That's all. Doesn't anyone want to finish off what from me?
So basically, our mission towards the base was fairly successful. We encountered some resistance. There was a pretty epic fight. Basically, we took so long dilly-dallying that all of the forces in this base kind of coordinated in one room, set fully up for defense. So how we responded to that is 3 of us went outside the door and prepared to attack, and Wasted, the absolute legend, grabbed a Lambda shuttle, pointed it towards the window, and just started blasting. The man just started blasting. And as he's starting to literally break through the wall and the ceiling, there's chunks of permacrete coming down. There's a dust filling the air, making people making their shots miss and stuff. We bust through the door. Charlie almost immediately just gets absolutely doused by a flamethrower. The gunfight continues for some time. Eventually Wasted actually jumps out of the shuttle, I believe. Or no, he comes back and lands it. Charlie gets nearly killed. I jump on his body. Nateri almost gets killed. I jump on her body to douse the fire. Right now, she's fully knocked out. After we successfully defeat everybody at the command center, we realize that the stuff we were looking for isn't there. And even if it had been, pretty much everything was destroyed anyway. So Osh and I left on a journey throughout the rest of the base. I may have committed a war crime by assassinating a technician who was willing to help us.
May? I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt. Keep going.
We're the rebels. There's no such thing. We eventually found a room with all of the technology we needed. We had the technician there help us mask the location of the rebel fleet. He downloaded some information to our data pads. In the meantime, we also disabled some turbo laser systems after unfortunately losing one Y-wing who was we were a bit antsy, so we sent one on early just to see how it went, and it didn't go well. We disabled the turbo laser systems though around the base, and the other Y-wings came and picked us up, and that's basically where we left off, having somewhat successfully accomplished our mission, though with no stealthiness whatsoever.
And we lost a Y-wing because we'd been too lazy to go and turn off the defenses first.
Now, to be fair, you guys didn't know. That's always the trick with Fog of War, is you don't know what's going on that other side of that next door or over that next hill. So, but there was a casualty. One of Amber Squadron, the lead of it, was blasted out of the sky. But you managed to collect your wounded, loading up onto the Lambda shuttle. Wasted, you had that heart-to-heart with the Imperial pilots. Good recap, by the way. Well done.
Thank you.
And you, with the charred, badly wounded Tiri carried on board, you set off for the fleets. Now, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Wasted, but your character, Saren, managed to actually get enough pilots and organize the pilots in such a way that you were able to take off with your ship and the Lambda.
Just about, yeah. We ended up utilizing one of the astromechs to fly a Y-wing, and we nicked a Y-wing pilot.
Mm-hmm. Right, and then you put him in the Lambda, I'm assuming.
Getting another one killed.
Yep.
We also learned a little bit about an Imperial Citadel, where it seems like is the heart of a lot of the operations in this sector. So,
Shattered Lake Citadel.
Yes.
You did. You learned about the Shattered Lake Citadel, and you also convinced one of the technicians who was working back there, who was surprisingly just willing to work with you guys. to falsify some information, to report back to the Shattered Lake that there was a rebel fleet gathering its forces, the disparate bits of fleet here and there, and then the main one that you had seen, they had actually detected where the rebel fleet is at this moment. You had him falsify information that the fleet was gathering someplace else. He literally closed his eyes and pointed somewhere on the map and said, yeah, that'll work, and sent that information off to the Imperial command at the Citadel. Loading up, taking off. Where are you guys now that you're just breaking away from the gravity well of this, where this base was, this hub station was? Where are you heading off to now?
I think I would like to come over to Osh and ask whether he thinks, Osh, do you think Natiri in her current condition is healthy enough to make it back to the rest of the fleet, or do we need to find somewhere to stop first?
Help me!
I think she'll be stable enough to return to the fleet. I don't know that there's anywhere we can go in the sector that a small task force of rebel ships is not going to attract more attention than the risk is worth. So I think going home. Is there some noise that you guys are hearing? It might be coming
Space
from
wind.
the Lambda.
I think it's space wind.
I would also like to get the child some medical attention as soon as possible.
Okay.
And separate them from Natiri before more bad things happen to them.
Well, unless anybody has any DVDs to return, space DVDs, I think we should return to the Rebel fleet, and I can begin plotting a jump. If you guys, unless anybody has any other ideas.
I do appear to be out of my blockbuster missiles, so unrelated, but we should replace those later.
Absolutely.
All right. So you guys are prepping a jump to hyperspace and heading back to the Rebel fleet. Let me go ahead and get you've made this flight before. Just give me an easy check if you're doing the primary calculations here for astrogation.
Okay, I can do so.
And for you, I'll just have you do the roll, and then you can feed that information if you would like to the rest of the this weird convoy that you guys have now created of a Lambda, a TIE Advanced.
Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Does the I've got one of the negative symbols there. Is that supposed to be? I'm not sure.
On your skill sheet?
Yeah.
It means that you remove a setback.
Okay,
so if I tell you there is a setback involved, then you'd be like, well, I canceled that because I'm awesome.
I accidentally added that as a boost. Do you want me to just re-roll it, or even without the boost, we would have succeeded?
Okay, so just subtract that the boost was even there. Just delete it and ignore it. So you did succeed with a couple of advantage. If there's any way particular that you'd like to spend that advantage on your astrogation check, if not, you guys weren't that far away. It didn't take you long to get here. As you were in a small, like, kind of sliver of this region that you, doing the calculations, figured out where the hub was. I think it was like an hour flight out here, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you like to use that advantage, if at all, or you can just speed up how long it takes you to get back?
I think we'll just speed it up.
All right, so we'll say it takes you no more than 40 minutes to get back to base as you jump to hyperspace, feeding out that information and pulling the levers. The fleet jumps. The Lambdas, the two Y-wings that remain. TIE fighter, a U-wing, and another. Actually, you are all in your fighters, aren't you? So there'd be three Y-wings altogether. As I believe, Corey, you're still flying yours, aren't you? Even with its damage?
I'm just serving as a reminder of the comrade they lost at this point, I think.
Oh, rough. All right, so you guys have a little bit of a flight, watching the blowing glue light, the kind of those rotating kind of clouds formation as you're making your way through. You can narrate that you arrive. If there's anything you guys want to do or have any conversations, go for it now.
I hope.
Okay. All right.
Quiet
So,
journey of contemplation.
everybody thinking about the mission and how it went. Inside the Lambda, it smells like burnt leathery bacon in there. But eventually, you guys get the alarms on each one of your cockpits, and you time it to drop out. And you see the Rebel fleet all formed up. You notice there are no fighter squadrons currently out of the bays. Immediately get the comm call, requesting an identification.
This is Twin Sun Squadron, returning from our brief mission to, I don't know what we called it, Imperial Base X364.
Fair enough. So they give you clearance. All right, Twin Suns, come on in to the Nomad. Admiral wants to get a debrief as soon as possible.
Before we get any debriefs, I require immediate access to a back-to-tank for 2 members of our group here. 1 squadron member and 1 extra that we've picked up.
You need an emergency medical team to the hangar bay?
Yes, please.
All right, you're clear to land. Come on in. We'll have them waiting for you.
Very appreciated.
Nomad out. And they click off. You guys set a course for the Nomad. Come into that starboard side hangar bay that you've landed in before.
The whole time that we're flying in, Ash is just thinking like, please don't clip anything, please don't clip anything, please don't clip anything.
I will say, you managed to land no problem. It's a little bit of a tight fit for the Lambda, but it looks like they have cleared a space for you.
I'm keeping an eye just on the little diving board the whole time. That's what I'm really concerned about.
Diving board? What?
It's the thing that Vader's standing on in Rogue One, and then you fly into it every time playing Squadrons trying to read the
Oh, got ya. The diving. Oh, great. Now I'll be thinking about that. Wonderful. So you guys do manage to land inside the hangars. As you open up the hatches, the first thing you see, they've got a stretcher out. They've got a medical team, including the Mon Cal doctor that you, Osh, would recognize, Cirrus.
Hello again. We need immediate access to at least 1 back-to-tank and someone to look at this child a bit more thoroughly. And then I indicate to the Lambda.
The Y-wing
By
pilot
child,
is helping
I
you.
mean specifically the young one and not Neytiri.
It's like the Y-wing pilot is now carrying the young boy in his hands, just holding him up, bringing him over. They've only brought 1 cart, and they set him down. We'll see that he gets the best care and get him into a back-to-tank as soon as possible. Will you be assisting?
I will hopefully be down in a minute. I do think that I should go with our squad leader to address Commander, but make sure that there's nothing that might startle the boy when he wakes up. He's been through quite a lot. Anything military that can be perhaps kept out of view when he's back to consciousness would probably be appreciated.
Right. I'll see that it's done. And he kind of clicks his fingers and has somebody come over and you can tell he's giving directions. And they start wheeling off. Is there anyone else that's wounded or needs assistance or attention?
Oh. No, I think that...
Hell was that?
Neytiri here was badly burned. Immediate back to tank. Submersion is required.
Oh, as he kind of leans in around the corner of the Landa's kind of ramp, the Y-wing pilot's gone back up to help Neytiri get down. And at this point, you're in and out of consciousness, right? You're in amazing amounts of pain. I gave you your critical injuries deck right here. If you can remember the crits that you had, feel free to pull them out of there. It's right next to your seat on the right. If you don't already have them all.
Oh, this.
You have at the brink. There's 2 more that you had. They do stack, but you need to know which ones you've got so they can be attempted to be healed individually. So I think you had an easy one, an average critical wound while you were on fire. So you might want to find those if you recognize any of the names. I think one of them was literally like sudden jolt or minor nick.
I know one was disabled.
Was it disabled? Okay, so disabled was one.
And stunned. I think stunned as well.
Stunned would have been the easy one. Okay, because they have different difficulties, and when you're being checked up by a medical professional, that's what the difficulty they have to beat is to fix you. And the recovery for you is going to be pretty rough. But so the Y-wing pilot's kind of like helping you get near the ramp of the door and helping you down. And as you get to the ramp, the Mon Cal doctor looks up, and his eyes already, these large Mon Cal eyes go super wide as he sees the extent of your injuries. What happened to you?
They
Left her on the
burned
stove
me.
for too long. We forgot to flip her.
You guys, by the way, would have landed and began to make your way out of your vehicles at this point. Right, let's get you a stretcher immediately and get you to the medical bay. And so he gets on the comms and gets the stretcher out. Another team comes running up, give you a hand.
Thank you, kind sir.
All right.
Zachary, maybe if you want to handle the debriefing, I should go with them directly.
Yeah, she's looking to be in pretty rough shape.
Yeah, Osh goes and follows the medical team.
Okay, so you follow the medical team, and what are the rest of you doing? You guys heading to the...
I'm just gonna look around and kind of motion us towards the bridge.
While not so critically injured, I think I should probably get myself looked at. That was hardly a fun encounter.
Oh, you did eat that sniper shot, didn't you? Yeah, go ahead. I think we can handle it from here. Or I can handle it from here.
Well, if you're going to debrief, just remember, we've got at least partially updated coordinates for the location of the liberation.
Absolutely.
Make sure we find out what happened if we can.
I'll just nod and start heading towards the bridge.
Okay. And you guys are heading all to the med bay. So, easy enough to do. You, Osh, as you're making your way toward the med bay and kind of keeping up with the teams, managed to catch up to one of the teams who have the child on the stretcher. His breathing seems to be steady. His pulse seems to be steady. You did manage to stabilize him during the firefight, and he's still hanging on. Not completely out of danger, but you get the sense that you managed to stabilize him. Actually, then you should have done this earlier when you first kind of ran into him. Roll for me a vigilance check.
A vigilance check.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll roll your difficulty.
Ooh, that's scary.
Okay. All right, good to know. Good to know. So, making your way to the medical bay, the first thing they do is they're checking over the kid and say, okay, we're gonna work on this. The Moncal doctor says to you, Ash, we're gonna work on his wound, and he's got that like inner shoulder blast where the round hit him when he was on Natiri's back. This shouldn't be too much of a problem for us. We're just gonna get to work on it right away. If you would help your friend here, and gestures toward Natiri, who they're already prepping for the back to submersion.
This is in the same room?
Yeah, it's in the same room. It's the medical facility on this ship, on the Nomad, is sizable. There are half a dozen back to tanks that you can see on the, like, as soon as you walk into the room on the left-hand side. And then there's a break, those windows where you had seen the member of the Daggerwolf Company badly wounded in the disruptor blast that you had healed. So that's on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, it's surgical tables that are spaced out. It looks like this is a place where they've been working on triage and immediate like operating room for a large number of infantry. Like this is a base of operations for medical staff.
All right. Okay, so I will get to work getting Natiri into the back to tank. I do have the back to specialist thing. Okay. Which patrons recover 1 additional wound per rank of back to specialist when they recover wounds from back to tank or long-term care. So, however, that's going to factor in.
Okay, so
here's
get
slightly less crispy, slightly faster.
It's good. It's real good. So this is how this works. In a back to tank, when you're conscious, right, you haven't been knocked down to negative health. You heal at 1 point per hour of health in a back to tank. If you're unconscious, though, you only heal 1 point every 6 hours.
Oh.
That's how the rules are written. It's kind of a weird, why does it heal one way or the other? But I think it's the idea is that you've been that badly wounded that you have passed out. Like, that's how much damage you've taken. I will say, now that you're in a proper medical facility, as they're prepping your companion, I will allow another medical check to see if you can heal any points, because now you have like all of the equipment, and you've noticed that the Mon Cal doctor, Cirrus, is more than happy because of your former interaction with him to allow you to do your own thing, right, without any supervision in here.
Okay.
So if that's what you'd like to do, you're welcome to, and use their equipment.
Yeah, so right before we get to this immersion, I take another pass with all this equipment on the on her wounds.
Okay, go ahead and take 2 boost die, as you have all this equipment at your disposal, and it's fairly top end as you are on the flagship of this task force.
All right, and I'm going to give
Exactly,
myself
chat.
2
It's a
strain.
space smash unit.
Reduce that. And
I believe
that should do it.
And this is for general health, because your ally also has 3 crits.
Yeah, this is just going to be for the healing. So, if I'm able to pop her back to consciousness, then maybe we'll be able to get a bit more out of this. But that increases. Where's that? No. My extra healing thing. Surgeon. There it is. 3 ranks of surgeon. So that's 3 extra wounds. So that's 8 wounds healed.
What was the difficulty that you rolled on that?
Strain. It was 2, but I took 2 strain to reduce it down to 1.
Okay, so you have a way of... Now, this is beyond the threshold of the character, so it's actually a hard check.
Oh.
So it would be 3 purple as the
I thought
difficulty.
it was 2 difficulty on
If it's
on the
if it's
threshold.
below half, it is an easy check. If it is beyond half, it is a average. And if they are unconscious, they have beaten so
Okay.
badly, it is a hard. So go ahead and roll that extra one for me.
I'll just roll that and read. Okay, so it's only 1 strain that you recover, unfortunately. 8 wounds, 1 strain.
8 wounds on a med check. Wow.
Really?
Yeah,
Proper
8
doc.
wounds.
Yeah.
Proper doc. I'm not used to
So-
having a medic in the party.
You should
I'm on
just be
3.
waking up.
Yeah.
Is that a...
And
You're back into... You're in the positives again? Or at least beyond 0?
Yeah. I'm in the positives again.
Okay. Yeah, you'd wake up.
as she's waking up, I quickly sedate her and then start putting her in the back of the tank.
So that was it. I was just a.
Immediate you come to, the lights are bright and shining down on you from this medical bay. All that pain then hits you like a freight train, and then immediately you start feeling a little woozy and dizzy, and thwap.
Oh, I was so close to he was like slightly leaning towards a triumph there too.
What would happen on the Triumph?
On a triumph, you... Actually, that's a good question. Let's see. On a triumph, on a medical check, you can... Oh, you get to cure a critical
Easy
injury.
crit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a crit heal. So,
That would
all right.
have been helpful.
So dumping Natiri into the medvat at that point, at the back to tank? Or what else do you want to do, Doc?
Yeah, I'm just putting her in the back to tank, and then I'm gonna quickly just check on how Saren's doing and how the child's doing.
Okay, so as you're kind of submerged into this. It's heavier, it's thicker than water. You're in and out of consciousness. You can tell that like something's different, but you're barely there right now because of the drugs. You guys, you particularly Ash, outside of the tank, actually see like the flakes of burnt skin and stuff kind of break off in the Bacta. Your companion was badly wounded. Okay, so you said you're going over and check on the doc?
Yeah, Saren first, and then I just kind of want to see quickly how Saren's doing.
Yeah, as you finish up what you're doing here, the doors open and Saren walks in with that, even as badly wounded he is, that kind of stoic, not in any kind of hurry, though you've seen how he kind of handles himself. The door's open.
How are you feeling?
Nothing too critical, but took a nasty blast from that sniper. And he'll pull back his jacket to reveal a somewhat laser cauterized, but hole up near one of his shoulders.
I can take a look at that if you'd like, or if you'd prefer to just Go with one of these, I'm sure, very capable doctors.
No, I think I'd rather go with someone I trust. And he'll start to take off his sort of long cloak.
All right. You are significantly above your threshold, I think?
Yes, I am. I'm
Okay.
super easy. It's the crit that is my concern.
So I'm going to try to get the crit. Does that change the roll? Is it an easy crit you got there?
Depends on the other crit that you
My
got.
crit is an average.
It's average. All right. And I'm going to downgrade that with Master Doctor.
Does that take
That's once
strain
per
or anything?
round. Yeah, it costs 2 strain, but it's once per round,
Okay.
so I'll let you...
You're fine. You're fine. Since we're not in structured time.
Starts to obviously take off the coat that he wears and on. This will be the first time that long collared coat is no longer covering the tattoo on his neck. And as you get a look at it, it's no longer sort of obscured. You can see it is it's an elongated triangle facing downwards, somewhat like perhaps the bottom half of a Calrissian station, but made up of smaller geometric shapes that go down the side of his neck onto just above where his shoulder blades are.
Interesting tattoo. Now, if you look kindly that way and cough. So we got 5 success, 1 threat, 1 triumph. Oh, and I get an automatic advantage on that, so that cancels out the threat.
Okay. Cancels out the threat.
So you too would recover 8 wounds, or no, I guess since I was trying to address the crit, I'm not sure if any of that carries over into additional wounds, or if the triumph would be anything.
That's interesting. Tell you what, if you'd like, because of the triumph, I'll say that that's for the whole thing, because that would have healed his crit. You only had 1 crit, right? Or did you have more than 1?
I think he's just compromised.
So
I
if
only
you
had the 1 crit. I was just compromised. Yep.
Yeah, because I think you just kind of rolled to see if you can cure the crit, if you can fix that horrible wound that he's gained. But because you got the triumph, I'll say if you'd like, you can either re-roll for just general like medical check with all the equipment you've got on hand for a little bit of recovery, or you can take the roll you've just used.
I like pressing the button, so I'll use that to cure the crit, and then use the triumph to allow me to roll again.
All right then.
That is 4 wounds recovered and 4 strain.
And the crit as well, right?
And the crit is
Crit's
fixed.
gone.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So that wound, that sniper blast that you had taken at the facility is now well packaged and bandaged. The pain seems to have subsided.
Should be in good enough shape to continue your wild liberation chase, no?
I'm merely intrigued as to why it... Well, tell me this. Are you not wondering a little why it continued off wherever it was going? When we finally... Well, I'll use the word rescued lightly, but at the very least helped it escape.
Oh, I'm very curious to find out where it's going. Don't worry. We'll make sure you get your answers. I'll get some of mine too.
Darren will hurriedly get his jacket back on again. Stretching his shoulders as he does so. Yeah. Remarkably skilled. Can you learn that where again?
I used to work at a hospital on Alderaan. A lot of opportunities to find out about different species biology, anatomy. Obviously, I am no longer employed there.
Indeed.
Well, I'm sure I'll see you soon at the briefing.
Are you staying with Nateri?
No, I'm going to check on the child, and then I'll probably had to find Zachary. Neytiri can handle herself for now, I think.
Just give out a gurgle in the back of the tank.
Clearly, I didn't use enough sedative. I go over and I kind of like increased.
The bubbles get slower. This is the best ever, you think? And while you turn that up and while you're getting your coat on, you hear this tiny little oh, and it seems that the child's woken up.
Actually, Saren, would you like to join me for this?
I'd rather we got about with our mission and got this reported, but as she was part of it, yep. Let's go.
Would like to see the child.
Okay, so walking over to the table they've been working on. The kid is sitting up now. The Mon Cal doctor's got his kind of arm behind his back and kind of he smacks him once in the back, and the kid. There you go, kid. Just let that out. Deep breath. And every time he tries to take one, the doc like smacks him again in the back. I'm good. I'm okay.
Hello again. How are you feeling?
Kind of, he's looking down now and kind of glances up towards you, and eyes are a little wide. Looks around, almost like he's looking for a safe spot, and looks back over at Neytiri, who is floating in that back to tank, and knows that she can't help him. I'm okay.
I'm sorry we weren't able to protect you more in the fight. I was hoping that Neytiri would keep you in a safer location, but I think everything should be okay now.
He reaches up with his right hand and kind of scratches the back of his head and looks around a little bit. And his eyes, you can see him blinking a bit as he looks up towards the bright lights of this medical facility. And where am I?
You're on a ship. You've been on many ships before.
He shakes his head yes, emphatically.
Oh, do you like ships? We have a lot of ships here.
Gives kind of a shrug. We mostly lived on ships. On a ship.
Oh, you did? So were you on ships with your parents?
Gives you this really big head nod, yes.
Were you separated from your parents before we met you?
He looks around and he for a moment looks over at Saren. I kind of side-eyed looks at it for a moment and looks around at the strange doctor that's been healing him, and then you with no facial expression. The ones in the armor came, and my dad hid me, told me to stay, told me to go into the vents. Said they'd come for me. Or I was supposed to go to the comms. If they didn't, I was supposed to hide.
Then they took you to that base?
He shakes his head no. We were
No.
there. We visited. A lot. Found stuff.
Oh, you were on the base.
And he shakes his head. Found stuff and poked around.
Okay, I would very much like to help you return to your parents. So this nice doctor here, and I pointed them on Calamari, is going to look after you for a while. But soon I'll be back, and I'll be able to maybe make sure that Neytiri over there is going to be okay as well. And then we can have a nice chat and see if we're going to be able to, or how quickly we'll be able to get you back to your family. You like that?
Roll for me as you're, chatting with this child and trying to be as friendly as you can, trying to get the kid to kind of open up to you, and to get him out of this obvious like fear that he has. I want you to roll for me a charm check. I'm gonna say with a disadvantage, as you have literally no facial expression whatsoever.
So a setback.
So that'll be a setback. But because of how well Natiri rolled, and that she is in the room, maybe mostly unconscious, it'll only be an easy check, or it'll be an easy check. So 1 purple. See if you can get him to open up too.
I almost had a full wash there. 0 success, 1 threat.
Okay. He looks at you and he kind of just leans back in the chair and takes one more look over at Saren and the back to tank. Doesn't say anything.
Yes. Well, I was always told my bedside manner could use some work. Well, we'll be back later. Have a good rest.
And that's what you need. Moncal says, you need some rest. Go ahead and lay down here. We'll shut the lights down lower for you. Rest
Why
up,
did the
kid.
Imperials keep you alive? Why did they have you in that prison?
Apparently, I'm not the only one who needs better bedside manner, and I give Saren a... It would be a kind of stern look if I was capable of looking like anything, but...
Go ahead and roll for me another charm check. This one's going to be harder. This will be an average check. Because of the threat, take another setback, as he's kind of clammed up a bit. There was a threat in the last roll, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there's not more of a setback just because it's Saren asking.
Yeah. It's an increase in difficulty, which is already that makes it substantially harder.
Like the 2 least reassuring people in the universe.
What was the roll?
It's going to be an average with a setback.
Okay, just checking.
Huh.
Okay, interesting. Kid kind of sternly looks at you. They said I wasn't worth another trip. Said they'd take me when they were ready to head back. Thought they might take me to my family. Take me somewhere.
Well, it sounded like that must just have saved you. And Saren will turn and walk off.
Okay.
I follow him.
All right. You guys head out. So while that was all happening, we're going to switch perspectives over. As you're heading, Zachary, as you're heading towards the debriefing room that you guys have used multiple times, making your way up to the 2 guards standing on the other sides of the door.
I'm like absent-mindedly kind of like rubbing my chest, thinking that like I just saw my whole team like go to the med bay. So I'm like, did I get a shot or anything? Like, how did I make it out of this unscathed?
As you get to the door and you're kind of walking through the steps of how the mission went, your team all being wounded, and you seem to be completely unscathed, you reach to the door expecting it to just kind of open in front of you, and it doesn't open. The guards... Hold a second. He hits the door a couple of times. Doesn't kind of look toward it, just watches you. 2 well-armed guards. You've noticed them before.
You guys forget to pay the power bill this month? What's going on?
Yeah, it's twin sons.
Oh.
And you can tell he's talking to his comm unit. All right. You're clear to enter. The door opens up. Inside, even past the stairs that lead up to that big round briefing room area where the large window was, where you could see the Gazanti and all the chaos in the earlier episodes. The Admiral is standing there. He's got a couple of other officers around him. Shaw is there, and they're all leaned over this hologram. You've noticed this hologram before, but this time they don't turn it off as you come in.
Admiral?
Oh. Slaughter, welcome. All right,
Thank
let's take 5 on this, and we'll get into it in just a second. I've got a debrief I'm very eager to hear about.
I'll just look around and kind of move closer.
You see a number of captains. You see a major, all picking up data pads and kind of talking amongst themselves and making their way towards the door that you'd just come through and passing by you.
Rubbing my hands a little. I'm nervous. The Admiral makes me nervous.
The Rodian now kind of walks, takes a step towards you. So, how'd it go? Everybody make it back okay?
Well, that's a complicated question. Will everyone live? I think so. Natiri took a flamethrower to the face, and I won't lie to you, it was not pretty. I jumped on her and managed to put it out, but yeah, it's not good. She's in the back of the tank right now. She's there with Osh, and Saren also managed to catch a sniper bolt, but I think his injury, he seemed fine, but everyone's alive. We did unfortunately lose a Y-wing pilot in the pickup from the base, but I honestly think it was worth it for the information we got.
Damn, I thought as much when, well, the 2 members of Amber made it back. I was a little surprised. You gave a couple of the sensor officers a bit of a heart attack when a lambda dropped out of hyperspace.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it was worth it in hindsight. Next time I'll send some advance notice if possible, but we had to get out of there fast.
Well, I'm happy to hear that at least your team made it back in mostly one piece. I'm sure you're wanting to get back to them and see how they're holding up. But priorities first. Did you manage to complete the objective?
Yes.
Was it there?
So I think we were successful there. Eventually what happened is we managed to get in. We wiped our location from their databases. More than that, though, I felt it would be too obvious to just wipe it. I had the sensor officer who we took with us actually set a false rendezvous point far away from where our fleets actually are. It'll look like we're all converging on the same space over the next few days. That won't hold forever, but I mean, it was better than just wiping the data, which obviously would have indicated something is up. But additionally, I also set the turbo lasers up. So they'll be auto-firing on their own ships. Again, that won't stop them forever, but it will at least keep the base a bit more secure. Other than that, we did find some information about the location of the Liberation, although I haven't had enough time to really take a close look at it.
Shaw takes a step forward and... Whoa, okay. Hold on a second. Let's go through this. So you not only found where the data was routing to at the hub station, managed to infiltrate and report false intel to the Empire?
That's right, yes.
He looks over at the Admiral. This is good. This is real good. What details? What information did you give him?
So it looks like maybe we can call the sensor officer. He was the one who did most of the heavy lifting, but we basically picked a random place far away from where our fleets are currently positioned, and it will look like over the next few days that our forces are moving eventually to rendezvous at this point. Because I thought just to wipe it would indicate that it would be too obvious that our fleets, that there was in some sort of sabotage. This way, although they'll know there was a battle there, there's no hiding that. We left a lot of bodies. They may not know our true target, and even if they figure it out, it will take some time.
And you said you set their guns to auto anything comes in?
Yeah, so I gave us a window to pick up our ships, but after that, I think it was 2 hours I said. After that, the guns will auto-fire on any target that comes within range.
How long ago was that? Shaw immediately asks. And-
it would have been about an hour and 10 minutes ago, I think.
Okay. And that's about right, yeah. Looks over. And Admiral, sounds like we've got some kind of window. And it was convincing.
I mean, I think so, yeah. I was watching the officer while he was doing it, and he seemed to be doing a good job. We took our time. It took over an hour to complete the work.
Well, this is good. This is real good. That is better than we could have hoped.
I'm glad.
And we're kind of looking at you, and behind him, you can see a hologram of the Shattered Lake Citadel.
Oh, we also found information relating to that. So the sensor officer, and I'll kind of look around him and say, I hope you don't mind me mentioning, but our sensor officer did have some information about the Shattered Lake Citadel, including the fact that they're getting regular transports. We did manage to, of course, steal Lambda. We thought that might be useful. If there's something that needs to be done there in the future, that seems to be a much more important target. The base itself was in really weird condition. It was an old Republic base, not Imperial. I assume I would know that.
Yeah, you would have known that.
And it was in extensive disrepair. There were walls caved in. There were actually dead bodies even before we arrived. So, very strange. We, of course, recovered the child who's now in the med bay.
You recovered a civilian?
Yeah, a child. He was pretty badly injured. Natiri, I mean, she was doing her best, but he took a blaster bolt.
Ouch. Another civilian kind of getting in the middle of things. I don't know what he was doing there.
He was locked up. We couldn't leave him.
So he was a prisoner.
Yeah, he was a prisoner.
Right. Well, who knows? Maybe it's somebody they picked up on the way there, or squatters or something.
Yeah, I've got no idea.
It may it makes sense. We knew that this was a Republic sensor network. So the idea that the base would be Republic build. It sounds like the Empire rushed over and just cobbled it online as fast as they could.
That's the feeling I got too. They had some weird booby traps as well. They had astromech set to blow up, and it was not a professional job.
Astromechs, and you know, he's kind of probing what asks you a few questions about like the resistance that you've ran into. Stormtroopers.
Yep. Stormtroopers. They had some advanced units. We, as I said, somebody with a flamethrower got a good shot at Natiri. Not too much in the way of resistance. I mean, we got in there, we got out, but it wasn't abandoned either.
You said you got to look at information involving the Citadel, and they turn around and they invite you to come over to the table and look at the hologram that they've got. And what you notice is that the hologram that they have is not as detailed. And it seems to be missing elements of the bit that you had managed to get a quick glance at while the technician was kind of rambling overly. He's just trying to answer all of your questions. And this one, it is the same structure on top of the mountain, that large lake attached to it.
Okay. What is it that's different that I can indicate?
Roll for me a warfare check.
Okay.
I will say this is an average difficulty, as you are taking in a lot of information very quickly.
Okay. Oops. Okay, 1 success, 1 threat.
Okay. What you see is that there is a number of structures that are just missing off of this. Kind of a low resolution scan is what you're kind of judging, especially with your background actually with astrometrics and working with the Rebel computers that you've done the most of out of the party. There seem to be structures missing. There's a few temporary structures that would indicate a number of ground forces have been stationed inside this like almost this large fortress, large walls surrounding it. Turbo lasers have been built up. In the images that you see here, one of the turbo lasers are still under construction.
Okay. Admiral, can I get a closer look at that?
And
Sorry.
he indicates, yeah, absolutely, and blows it up for you so you can get closer in on it.
Yeah, this is an old image, isn't it? Because that turbo laser tower is finished, and there seems to be some temporary barracks set up around the structure. So there's more than what's going on here. You're going to want to debrief that officer we brought back with us, because we were flying through data. I only got a brief look at it, but he might know more. And Saren seemed to be familiar with the base generally. I talked to him and he knew about it. I'm not sure if there was some data on the Lambda or something else, but yeah, that's not an accurate representation of the forces anymore.
Shaw confirms this is an old bit of information that came from an asset that no longer has access to the base.
Okay.
Sadly, we believe he's either been captured or killed. The Admiral, though, has gotten... You've now been around him enough and had a few conversations with him. He's kind of an intense guy, this Rodian. You could feel almost this sense of like a dark, almost lethality to him. Seriousness that you haven't felt before as he kind of turns towards you. Speaking of Saren, I want you to think of every interaction that you've had with him. I want you to think everything that you know about the man since he's been assigned to your squadron. I need, as an officer of the rebellion, for you to tell me, if you had to, do you trust him?
I'm going to start sweating now at this point because I'm already nervous. And
Think about your answer.
I'm going to walk ahead and kind of look out the window to try to give myself a second to think and look at the Gazanti, the mythic ahead of us, where we had, I remember if it was that one, but thinking of our past adventures.
It is now formed up. It's no longer upside down as it was during that incident. It is now flying back in formation. You can see its blue engines just lightly on and coasting with the rest of the fleet.
As a player, I don't trust him, but as my character, I'm going to look at him and say, listen, Saren and I have been apart on a lot of missions, but he's never done anything that would lead me to believe that he's anything but trustworthy. He's saved me a few times. He's been incredibly competent. I've got no reason not to trust him.
Admiral turns towards Shaw. Shaw shakes his head with a little shrug. That's good enough for me. All right, then. Thank you. I appreciate your input.
I'm going to reach into my pocket and hand him the data pad as well that I had taken off the computer. I'm going to say I'm not sure what we got captured on this, but I had the tech try to download as much information as we can. There was a lot. It may just be astrogational data, but there may be something about the Citadel as well.
He hands it over to Shaw. Shaw takes, grabs it and, all right, I'll get this into the computer right away. See if we can get a better look at this. See what we've got. And that, we'll say, is the information that tech kind of was able to gather for you. He is an asset on the ship if you do need to reference him. But for like everything that you asked him to grab and download, he did manage to do. All right. At this point, I will say, unless there's anything else you wanted to say to the Admiral.
No, I'm still very nervous, so I'm not going to give anything unless prompted.
So Shaw starts to work at getting that information kind of organized and displayed. And you can actually watch as that hologram gets a little bit more clear. More information starting to pop up. You can see he's making corrections. The Saren and Osh, you guys were heading back to the bridge?
Yeah, that's the same debriefing room that Zachary's in.
Okay.
Saren would initially try and head or find out where the Imperial pilots we brought abroad had been taken.
Oh, okay, yeah. So with the letting them know who they are, a security team would have picked them up. So you would find them in, at this point, getting set up to be put into cells on board. They're heading toward the brig. So if you hear that, you're welcome to try to go there if you like.
Yeah, I'd like to try and intercept them.
Okay. I would say with your time, like getting through the medic, getting your first aid all done, and the back to tank and all that, they'd probably already have made it there. You wouldn't be able to like catch up because they would have gone straight to the brig and then gotten processed in. So you can go straight to the brig if you want, but you wouldn't be able to catch up to them. Okay. So getting a little bit of direction on where they would have ended up. Like where did you see them head? You get a few points, and eventually you make your way down to a secure deck. A series of double doors. There's 2 guards posted on the outside. And there aren't very many places on a ship like this that have those guards posted. Here, command, staff, bridge. But they kind of stop you. What's your business?
I need a word with those 2 Imperial pilots before the information they might have becomes irrelevant.
They look at each other for a moment.
Preferably the younger one. He seemed a little more willing.
They get on a comm. You hear a brief conversation. You, actually, you, Eck. So, Zakar, you would hear this request come through as it's like going all the way up the chain. It goes through about 4 people before it hits the Admiral. You hear... One of the twin sons, the Saren, is requesting permission to talk to captured prisoners from the last mission. Admiral looks over at you, Zach.
I'm just gonna nod.
Yeah, let him. Back down through the chain, comes to you. All right, get on in. He opens the door for you. As you make your way in, there are 2 energy fields on the right-hand side, and then as you kind of get around part of the wall, you can see 2 energy fields on the left-hand side. There are prisoners. On the left-hand side, there are 5 prisoners. They're obviously Imperials of some kind. Forward, there looks like people in more spacer clothing, the normal jackets, kind of normally cold weather gear, but you can tell it's more meant for like crews of a ship of some kind. One of them you immediately recognize as a member of the Mythic. On the right-hand side, both pilots by themselves, black uniforms, no helmets. Their gear's kind of been stripped, just their jumpsuits. Young one glances up and looks at you and gives an elbow to the vet that's in there. There's also a security guard on the inside sitting behind a desk, kind of towards the back wall, keeping an eye on things. Hey, make it quick. I'm still getting them processed, the guard says.
This won't take long. Thank you.
Yep.
Walking over to the 2 pilots in the corner, standing in such a way that I'm facing towards them and my back is towards anybody else that might be in the room.
Okay.
I imagine at this point this feels no different to how you might be treated by the other side, but I suspect you might find things further down the line a little different. Did not deceive you. Now you have one piece of information that I need. Where was that Lambda, your shuttle, due to fly next? And when?
The younger recruit stands up and kind of takes a few steps forward. You notice that the old vet's not saying anything. He's got his... Like, as he hears part of the question, he kind of leans back and puts his hands behind his head and just leans against the hard metal wall and doesn't say anything to you. Kind of looks at the ceiling. But the young one gets up and walks towards you and... our next destination? We were... I mean, it was pretty straightforward mission to get this base online, wait for reinforcements if necessary, and eventually we were going to make our way back to Citadel. We were meant to go back... Thanks for a moment. We were meant to go back and swap out with the other squad within a few hours. Citadel's not far. At least not far from the hub. Looks around the cell. He does not know where he is right now.
Few hours. Is it ever common for you to be delayed on your journey?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when we're moving the Nexu, for sure. Scout group's always got some weird-ass mission to do. So they'll get held up for engineering issues. They'll get held up because they're... whatever their op is. It's kind of more of a range. You get a little bit more freedom than most.
Okay, he's going to reach out and just put his hand on the shoulder of the young Imperial pilot in front of him.
It's kind of like
you.
between the energy like beams that are going down. You do that. Yeah, can I?
If I can get it through.
Yeah. You can get it. You can get it through. You're just carefully doing it. And he's, if you don't mind me asking, why?
In the end, when things get real dark, I think everyone ends up turning back to a personal cause more than some grand fight. A man halfway across the universe. At some point, something happens and you gotta say no. I'll make sure they treat you well. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Put in a kind word for me. Name's Lieutenant Kale.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Name's Saren.
He looks at you. Ed, hang on a second. And you see his brow kind of scrunch up for a moment at the name and go a little wide.
It's just an imperceptible, just the tiniest little nod of the head. Almost like, did he actually nod, or was that just a little movement? And he'll turn Ecken to Osh. Sounds like we don't have long.
I would have been heading towards the.
Oh, you
bridge,
continued
so I
on
wouldn't be
anyway.
Continue
Okay.
on? Okay,
Yeah.
so you're not there? Gotcha.
So, in which case, I'll turn around
Yeah.
to the guard inside and say, thank you. That's all I need. And as I'm passing out, I'll say to one of the guards outside, the younger one of those two pilots, he will be an asset. Treat him well.
Yeah, will do. Will do. And the guard inside doesn't notice. He barely looks up from his paperwork, as if he's been working through the processing for these new prisoners. The recruit, though, kind of stunned silence for a moment as you turn and walk out. Eventually, gives kind of a half tilted head nod and goes back to his seat. Doesn't say anything to his companion next to him, just sits there and thinks about it for a moment. You head out.
I do.
All right, so you're heading up. For narration's sake, we'll say you guys gather back together. Back on the briefing room with the large window, and hologram is floating there. First, Osh comes through the door, and you can see the Admiral. You can see Zachary and the older gentleman, Shaw, standing kind of around this holographic table. You can see the images. They're working through something and updating this map. Actually, it's a map of the base that you've seen out of everyone. As you walk in, the Admiral looks up. Hey, Doc. How are your patients
Admiral.
doing?
The child seems to be recovering pretty well, as does the kid we picked up on the base.
Nice.
He thinks for a moment and just Good. Good. Glad to hear everyone's doing well. At least recovering.
Neytiri should be a few hours, and then she should hopefully recover. I was able to get a bit more work done before the back to submersion, so I'm sure she'll be back with us anytime now. She took quite a beating, though. I think there may be some longer-term care that she'll need to do.
All right. Well, good. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, can she walk now? Is she conscious now?
I
kind of want everyone here for this.
I'd be able to go get her if you like.
All right. He thinks for a moment.
All right.
And he's like, "Yeah, let's get that done. Let's get everybody here." So, well, for the sake of brevity here, I'll say you managed to calm down and say, "Hey, get her out of the vat. Get her up here just for temporary sake. Find her some clothes." Which you, by the way, whatever gear you had, pretty roasty toasty. So you're now in the basically a rebel jumpsuit. It's up to you if it's going to be one of the crate company kind of browns and kind of khakis, or if it's going to be in that nice bright orange that the Rebel Alliance is so fond of when it comes to their flight suits.
So wait, so I lose all my items?
No. They're just setting you up. Your clothing that you had that you started with, fried. You burned for 4 rounds, so it's toasty. So they're giving you some temp clothes.
Okay, let me have.
You didn't lose all your gear, not all your items, but just your general, like, the clothing you were wearing would have been just toasted. So it's up to you.
Okay.
But that's gonna be just for the narration's sake. You're coming up in like the jumpsuit.
As she's coming up, can I assume we've got a couple of minutes. Can I motion to Saren and like kind of indicate towards the window so we can have a private conversation?
It doesn't take much, as you can tell. The Admiral, as you're waiting, is kind of engrossed in the information that you handed them, and updating this map.
Okay. So when we get alone, I'm gonna say, I feel like we're about to go into life or death here. So I need you to be straight with me. Why is the Admiral asking if he should trust you to me? What's going on? You've always been kind of quiet. I've never pried, but if we're going into a life or death situation, I need to know.
He's going to look at you for an uncomfortable length of time, not saying anything. Just reading your face.
I'm going to look away, probably.
Well, given I suspect it's not long before you know enough, at the very least. The information that this fleet has been operating off recently came from me. I am, how would you say, new to them.
Can I do a perception check to see if I can see any sort of lie in his voice, or if I think he's withholding anything?
Can absolutely do not a perception check. For this,
I think it's cool, isn't it?
yeah,
it's
this would be cool. Yeah, this one's gonna be cool.
Against one of his rolls, I assume.
Yeah, one of his rolls. You won't know what it is, so you
Okay.
roll what is appropriate for you, and you know what I'm talking about.
I got two success.
Okay. And if you don't have like dice that you can't roll off table, I can roll for you. You want to just DM me? Basically, if anyone's confused, like what's going on here, if say he's not lying or he is lying, there's no way for the player to know that. So you roll the appropriate skill. And if you knew what skill he was rolling, then you would know. And we don't want to give that away.
One second, almost got it. I got one success, one advantage.
And what'd you roll? Not what you roll. What did you roll? What did you roll for your perception or for your cool check?
I had 2 success.
Okay. Were you lying? Does he say anything? Any indication?
You get the impression, or the distinct impression that you're not being told something inaccurate, but you're also not being told everything.
Okay. And is that it? So is that my character says, is that it? Is there more like what is going on here? Because we're about to fly into I assume the Admiral's about to tell us to fly into this turbo laser ridden stormtrooper filled castle of death, so I think I deserve to know.
I'd say your description is at least mostly accurate, seeing as that was where I was stationed.
Okay, that explains a lot. And I kind of look at the Admiral and look back at him. And do they know that?
That is a very good question. Possibly. By this point. Probably. I did what I could. Let's just say you don't just leave a base like that without someone realizing. So I did the best I could to act as if I was killed in action. Whether that bruise still holds, well, let's hope so.
But do we know that? Does our Admiral know that? Or did you tell him the data came from somewhere else?
Oh no, he knows.
Okay. So is this
it's very
personal,
hard to
or
get full credibility when you don't really have much of a backstory, right?
right? I don't care for what it's worth. I'm here for personal reasons. Is this? Have you been a big Rebel fan all along, or are you here for personal reasons?
At this point, Darren's he's been fairly stoic expression still, unmoving face. At this point, there's a noticeable tightening of the eyebrows, and we do what we do for our own reasons. And if you would be so kind, I would rather leave it there.
All right, I accept that because I've got
up and strokes the side of his neck.
Okay, I'll look at him and I'll just kind of be quiet for a minute. I accept that. I get that. And then I'm just gonna say, all right, I
will tell you this: you don't make the decisions I have made and then expect to go back on it. You can.
I'm starting to get uncomfortable at this point.
You can trust me.
Saren's intensity is just like really starting to make me sweat, so I'm like looking for an out on the conversation. So I'm like, okay, I appreciate that, Saren. I trust you. You've got me convinced. As long as we're all on the same side, that's really all I care about. And I'm glad I told the Admiral, by the way, that you're trustworthy.
You get a noticeable raised eyebrows, sort of sudden surprise from that. And then a sigh.
What?
Oh, really?
You surprised I'm naive, or surprised he asked?
So that had nothing to do with you.
Okay. Should we get back to it?
Natiri,
Mm-hmm.
as you are getting into your new bright orange Rebel flight suit, you feel this like tug, right? So you're just kind of like getting your gear and trying to figure out like, where am I going to put my pack? This is weird. This isn't my clothes. And trying to dry off. You get this tug on the side of like the shoulder bit of the cloth, and it is the young boy. He's still wounded, but he's managed to slip out of the bunk that they've set him up with on one of the operating tables where they've turned the lights down. He's snuck off and he's come over to you.
How long have you been here?
He looks around the large medical bay. This is big open room. The bubbling tanks behind you. A while?
How long has it been?
You were floating for a bit. They bandaged you up and they cleared those wounds of yours.
Right, okay. Well,
Pokes,
that's
like where the
useful.
crispiest part was that he saw. Does that hurt?
I raise a fist.
Thank God.
He takes a step back.
Dare touch me!
I'm sorry. Sorry.
It hurts. Can I do a perception check?
Oh my.
I have no idea where I'm at. I don't know how many hours have passed.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and do a perception check around the room. See if you can get a kind of an idea. See if you can see like a timekeeping device. I'll say it's easy check.
Perception check. Charlie tries to read a clock.
Right, hang on. Sorry, I just need to get to my.
You seem like you're being relatively ignored by some of the droids that were helping you out of the tank and kind of, venting it to get you out of there. They've folded some clothes and left them for you. But
So
the doctor
where's
isn't there right now.
Skills? Oh, there we go. Sorry. Perception.
Where are your skills?
Yeah, sorry. I'm on the app here. I
Okay, no worries.
apologize. Where's the Where's the perception check on skills?
It's a skill, yeah. Perception.
Yeah, skills and then it.
Oh yeah. Wow, I'm an idiot.
Alphabetical.
Okay. All right, so an easy check. So just one difficulty.
Just one difficulty.
One threat, no success. No, I'm joking.
Ah.
no.
All right.
3 success, 1 0, 1 triumph.
So glancing around, you get kind of an idea like, oh, I've been in here before. Last time you were bleeding all over the place. You were brought to this after the Gazanti incident. After the Mythic, you were brought here. You're in the medical facility of the Nomad, and you're kind of blinking through, trying to blink the drugs out of your system and stretch a bit, and reacting to the kid. You realize, okay, wait, oh, he's still alive. And he's walking around. He's breathing. He looks like he's doing okay. He's bandaged up, cleaned up, far cleaner than he was when he was in the base. The lights have been dimmed. You get the sense that maybe it's evening. It's probably been at least a few hours. But the kid kind of looks up to you, and you get the sense that the kid has trusted you more than anybody else. For reasons. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. Sorry.
So he looks at you. If I'm lost, I'm supposed to give this. And they've got him also, by the way, in a new set of clothes. His other ones were pretty ratty and beat up, but he's brought over the shirt that he was wearing, and inside the cuff, he shows this to you, and it almost is reminiscent of like a barcode, like dashes and dots, and a crudely printed, fairly small symbol.
I bend down to eye level at the child and be like, what is this?
He just hands it out towards you.
Do you understand me? What is this?
I'm supposed to give it to an adult I trust if I'm ever lost.
Well, I can safely say you're in the wrong place.
He slowly pulls the sleeve back and kind of hugs it.
I'd be like,
He says, Dad told me to.
I was like, we need to get you to someone who clearly knows more about this than I do. So I get up, I gesture if the kid wants to be carried, instead of having to walk with me.
He reaches his hands up as if,
Right.
pick me up, pick me up.
and I lift the kid up onto my back, like again, like I did in the Imperial, wherever it is. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I start heading around. I'm assuming with the. Can I use the Triumph to know, kind of getting a good idea of where Zachary and Osh are?
Sure. As you're kind of thinking through, okay, we've made it back to the hub from the hub, but we survived that. Somehow they must have either completed the mission or they ran when I was beaten up. So they have to be on the bridge, right? They'll know. The bridge will know. The Admiral will know. So you'd know to go there.
I head in that general direction to try and find my other crewmates.
Okay, cool. So back on the bridge. You guys are having this conversation. Is there anything else you guys wanted to say? Talking near the window.
Oh, to me?
No. To everybody on the bridge before you
okay.
arrive.
We just took down an entire base. You'd think they could bring some calf.
Not exactly.
You could flip a
important
destiny
right
point
now.
for an insta-calf pod in the corner, I think.
Being an officer's like briefing and planning room, it'd be sacrilege if there wasn't a calf station somewhere. You don't have to flip a destiny point for that. It would be in there. I've been in enough of them.
All right, then I'm gonna go grab one.
All right, easy enough to do. As they're filling out the rest of this bit of data. But eventually, the doors open, and Natiri comes in along with the young child, the young boy on her back. He's looking around. He's real interested. The guards watch her walk through the doors, not stopping her as she's gotten clearance, been told to come up here, and looking back and looking at each other. One's got their hand in the air, what what the kid doing here? The door shuts as you walk up into the briefing room. Make your way up the steps. Hologram's on. Shaw walks over and just very nonchalantly, click, flicks the hologram off. Shuts down.
I come up as the kid gave me this, and I just click my fingers up to and beckon the thing that he showed me over my
the sleeve
shoulder.
of his old shirt. All right, so you kind of it's balled up, and you just show that one part of it, and Admiral looks at it. And Terry, it's good to see you back on your feet. I heard you had a rough time of it. Oh, hello, little man. And you notice his tone totally changes. He's much lighter. His voice has kind of gone up an octave. And how are you doing? And I'm kind of ducks behind you a bit. Don't have to be afraid on my ship. You're safe here. Orion looks at him. Here, let me get that. Shaw says, and he takes the shirt from me and he looks at it. I got nothing. He said he throws it to, well, he's just going to go through the ranks. He throws it to you. I will say he actually throws it over to Saren. Mean anything to you? Admiral says. And here is what it looks like. So it's a bunch of dots and dashes, right? Those mean nothing to anybody, just glancing at it. It could be some kind of is it numbers or a Morse code? It could be anything. But the symbol that is underneath it is kind of printed on there. It's quite small, is this. And it is in this dotted, almost scanned and poorly printed.
Not like anything I've seen.
As someone who has been in biology related stuff for a while, is there any kind of roll I can make to see if I recognize the source of that?
What's the skill you want to use to look at it? See if it's a...
What are my knowledge options? I'm not sure if it would be potentially like xenology or education. No, xenology would just be species, so it'd probably be education or lore.
And I'll bring this over so you guys can see this logo as well. I assume you're showing it to the rest of them, Saren, or you just...
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. A shrug and throw it around.
For that one, xenology, if you'd like to try that, sure, go ahead and give it a try.
Can I just do education instead? I think
Actually, instead of having you roll for this, I will say you would not recognize it.
Okay, I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
you wouldn't. Like, there's no roll that would make that a success.
Okay, can I try my Outer Rim knowledge? I was a trader in the Outer Rim before, so
Go for it.
are you gonna roll the difficulty?
I will, actually.
Okay.
Just did.
Oops, jeez. 2 success, 2 advantage.
Yeah, all right. There was 1 threat and there was 1 failure, so you do recognize it. This is you've seen this before. You've seen it printed around, normally not super public. This is a symbol for the Smugglers Alliance.
So I'll pipe up and say, yeah, this is Smugglers Alliance. I ran into this all the time doing runs back in the day before all this.
Yeah, actually, with your background, not only would you recognize it, you would have a roll wouldn't have been necessary because you would have flown under it at some point.
Yeah, we had this painted on the in the refresher on my old ship. The old deliveries and divestments.
I will say, with the success, then the dots and dashes you would know is a kind of a general like smuggler's code, kind of like a thieves' cant almost, and it breaks down into a comm code.
So this is a comm code here. We might be able to contact whoever left this. I assume. Did you find this on him, Natiri, or did he give it to you?
He gave it to me, saying that he needs to give this to someone when he's lost. Like his dad instructed him to do so.
Yeah, they just wrote my phone number on the bottom of my boot, but this seems to be a comm code. We could.
And they would have done so in this code. Like they would have put it somewhere on you, as like an emergency thing of like if so and so is lost, or so and so is wounded. And you recognize this symbol, then use this comm code and see if you can get contact with someone. That's how you would have realized like what this is in the life. Sometimes it's printed on items as well. Though in your line of work, those don't normally end up where they belong.
Yeah, so I'll say, I mean, we could comm. Shouldn't take long. We can get a secure line out there. I mean, it is the Smugglers Alliance, though. We don't know what these people were like.
I look at the child and bend down to eye level again. Oh no, he's still on my shoulder. Sorry. I turn to try and like look at the child and be like, "Were your parents bad people?"
No.
Okay, then it seems safe.
And the Admiral just kind of looks at you and Shaw literally face bombs. He just,
This is prime OPSEC right here.
Best and the brightest, he says. Best and the brightest. Just kind of saying to himself. Right. Well, how about we get, what's your name? The Admiral says, kind of leaning in. Samuel. They call me Sam. Sam Nefty. All right. Well, let's get you someplace safe. Maybe back in the med base. And Doc can keep an eye on you for now, okay? And he kind of shakes his head no. The Admiral...
Any chance I would recognize the family name?
Yeah. Well, go ahead and roll for me. You can try.
Okay.
Roll for me and I'm looking at your guys' skill sheets just to remind myself the names of some of the skills. And this one right here is going to be Streetwise. Yeah, this one's gonna be streetwise. Who do you know?
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you gonna roll difficulty?
Nope. We're gonna say this one is a average difficulty. See if you know who it is.
Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna see if I've got anything that can make this roll easier.
Yep. Absolutely. Take a boost. I'll tell you why later.
Okay. Oh, nice. 3 success, 2 threat, and a triumph.
Yeah, and a triumph. Okay. Do you recognize the name? Not the Samuel part, but the Nefty part. Not only do you recognize the name, you think back a bit, way back when you were just getting started. You definitely worked with a Nefty.
Okay.
And it was a smuggler. He was definitely a smuggler. He was one of the people who's in the kind of that line of work. Nice enough guy. Seemed to be. It was your early days, so it's been probably over a decade. But as smugglers go, Nefty, human, same color hair as the kid. You kind of think back now, and you kind of see a resemblance to the kid and this guy that you knew.
I'm gonna kind of like take a closer look at the kid and say, what did you say your last name was?
Nefty?
And I'll say, so I used to run in this little shop called Deliveries and Divestments, D&D, great little shop. The dirty girl traveled most parts of the Outer Rim. She was a fine vessel, and I remember running into a Nefty. Looks kind of like this kid now that I get a closer look, and he's not being shot. And Nefty was a fine enough guy. I don't remember anything in particular about him. He's good enough as smugglers come. Terrible Sabak player.
And he finally says, my grandfather, Bomas, Bomas, Bomas. And that's the name. That finally clicks to you.
Yeah, Bomas. Yeah, we saw him a few times, perusing the Outer Rim. A little bit of a cantina rat. Not a bad guy, though, by any means.
So what do you do?
So I'll kind of look at the Admiral and say, I mean, I knew his grandfather not super well, but well enough that I don't think he was any sort of scumbag or slaver or imperial. He ran, a lot of illegal shit with us, and as much as you can know a guy that you just work with, he seemed good enough. So I'd love to get his grandkid back to him if he's still around.
Well, Admiral speaks up. Let's go ahead and get you out of here. You can get some more rest. Looks like you got pretty beat up. And he says, yeah, I was shot.
So was I.
You were
hear
actually roasted,
whack
Nate Fury.
as another facepalm from from Shaw. But all right, and he calls in the 2 guards. Here, make sure this little guy gets back to the medical bay, and post a guard so he doesn't just wander off. Make sure he stays there. Guard says, yes, sir. They kind of wait for you to help him out here so they're not like peeling this kid off you.
You can get off now. And I bend down so the kid can get off safely.
All right. The kid begrudgingly lets go of you. You seem to be the only one he really trusts. And
oh wait, no, can I walk with the kid instead, or should I stay with the crew?
well, the Admiral wants to speak to you, and you get the sense of that. So if you want to walk to him to like the door, it's up to you though. You can if you like.
No, if he needs to speak to me, I'll chill.
Okay. The kid makes his way out. So let's handle that business in a moment. Let's wrap up this debrief. Talk about what's next. Admiral says, looking at all of you. Please come in. Closer. Guards, lock up the doors. Here. As the metal doors kind of magnetically lock in place.
Is this necessary?
Yes.
Seems the Admiral's a little paranoid.
Bring back on the hologram and it comes to life in front of you now with a little bit more updated information. It looks at you all. The fleet that we've formed here isn't here for no reason. We have an objective.
Okay.
He
What do you
glances-
need me for?
I need all of you. I need
Just
the
giving her a
squadron.
dirty look at this point.
Kind of glances at you, you know, with this. This is your job. It's kind of what you're here for. He zooms out on the image that you see is that city, this fortress world at the top of a mountain, large lake. It seems to run up to a circular range of rocks. Half of it seems to be drained, and a city or this fortress was built inside of it. The other side is this just large lake that runs water through like a dam. The Empire has pushed us back over and over. Our victories are turning to ash in the mid-rim. Scans between all of you. Our initial push for the mid went surprisingly well. More worlds signed on with us after the destruction of the Death Star. But lately, over the last 6 months, the strategy the Rebel High Command chose to take and hold worlds, the idea that we could defend these locations with shield generators and defensive towers, and think that the Senate would side with us over time once they learned the atrocities that the Empire has committed, has not worked out. Every major battle that we have had in the mid-rim holding a world, even the battles where we've come out victorious, the Empire would throw themselves against our defenses, and we would hold. And our victories would be for naught, because in the 2 weeks it would take us to get reinforcements, the Empire would be there within 1, within 3, within 4 days. We didn't know how they were able to do it. There's no way they could move this large amount of supplies, of resources. And now we know how. He gestures toward the base in front of you. And I'm going to pull it up for you so you can see.
Yay, maps.
Oh, you don't even know.
Please hold. This might take a second. A massive logistical base has been set up in one of the dead worlds here. We've located it. We've been trying to gain intelligence on it for the last couple of weeks, building up our forces here, but it's been tough. Obviously, you know the reason why. The hub station and the sensor network.
Oh my god.
Yeah, just give it a second.
Jesus.
What you're seeing is he zooms in. At first, when he's kind of zoomed out, you see that dead city that was described before, right? A mountain range at one side of it, and that mountain range kind of lifts upwards, and at the top of it, you see this fortress that expands out. This is only a small piece of it. Beyond this wall, this rock wall that you see on the left-hand side here, you can see where I'm arrowing, is this large lake over on Natiri's side of the table. It looks like that lake runs up to the mountain range and then seems to flow through like a dam through the drain section that is turned into this fortress. Large walls, turbo lasers, a shield generator sits in the center. and what looks like this large dome with a massive cannon strapped to it in the middle of this fortification. The updated information that you immediately recognize, Zachary, is the locations of some of the turbo lasers that have been installed more recently. You see waves of what look like TIE fighters here. This is a staging base, the Admiral says. This is where their supplies are coming from. Every soldier they send at us, every TIE fighter they replenish in an ISD, every bit of bread, bullets, and beads comes through Shattered Lake. We have to figure out a way of destroying this. The Force is at hand. Now, with the information that you have all provided, plus the little bit that we've had so far, I would say this was almost impossible. But that's our job here. My orders are to do the impossible and take this base down so it can no longer support the front line of the mid-rim. And to give our forces a chance.
Is our goal to take the base down or to take the base?
To take the base down. We don't have the necessary ground forces to take and hold this facility, so we have to destroy it. That's not an easy task. First challenge would be the Imperial fleet in orbit. Second challenge would be the defense station in orbit. Now, either one of those could potentially be dealt with, but it sounds like you may have given us a little bit of an edge in that matter. He looks over at you, Zachary.
I'm going to say the shuttle?
No, the false information.
Oh, you think they're going to move the defensive fleet away from the planet?
They've been using that fleet to hunt us as soon as they figure out our location. And if you have told them that there's a collection of rebel ships, an attack fleet formed and ready to go in one location, well, the Empire normally goes for aggressive moves, not defensive ones. And you can see he says that with a little bit like a bitter taste in his mouth. The next challenge here, they've got this, and he points toward that domed station. We know this. Well, actually, why don't I turn this over to a resident Imperial? And the Admiral looks over at your squadron mate.
Neytiri?
Saren.
Oh, makes more sense.
Fooling you this entire time.
She starts speaking with a British accent.
Hello!
You're muted, Wasted.
Stepping forwards, Darren points down towards the map. This location wasn't always an Imperial base. It used to be a city. The Imperials have only moved in and taken it over. Relatively recently, although judging by the updates to the map, they've got a fair bit done since I was last there. Our main target and point of concern is that large dome structure in the center, which houses most of the Imperial forces, and more importantly, a hypervelocity cannon. Cannon powerful enough to fire straight up into orbit, meaning that we are not going to be able to do anything here with a fleet. Now that structure obviously isn't part of the rest of this. The Imperials have dropped this stuff in and built this base up as they saw fit. And that will be what we have to deal with. Either with the power generator potentially, or by taking it out directly.
Or we could use it against their own station.
I like how you think, but I suspect you may be underestimating quite what is down there.
I'm sure Neytiri can throw something at it and take it offline.
Admiral looks towards you. Use it against their own station. How would you suggest we do that?
Well, I suggest we point and we shoot. We get in there, we point and we shoot. We know that they routinely get shuttle supplies into the planet. We get in the shuttle, we boogie on down there, we point, we shoot. I just kind of shrug and look around.
Well, I appreciate the trust in allowing me to debrief those two pilots quickly. I can say we have, with their schedule, maybe an hour at this point, maybe a little longer, before they will be missed and should have already checked in. I would also assume the second that base gets discovered and the 2 and 2 are put together, they will be aware that that lambda has come from there and is no longer under their control. So we have a time limit if that's to be our approach.
Would any of the pilots that we've extracted with the shuttle be amenable to coming with us and potentially helping infiltrate the base? It may be a bit more convincing if the original pilots are still there.
The young one, perhaps. He seems... How do I put this? Very willing to the point where I think he might even be an asset for you, and maybe an asset for us if we can convince him.
What about that pilot technician that really likes your ship, Zachary? He didn't join us on our last mission. He might join us now.
I look over. There's still hurt in my eyes, and seeing the Admiral reminds me of him, and I just shake my head with like a tear in my eye.
He's a traitor in my eyes.
You think about Trass.
Yeah.
God damn it, Trass.
And I say,
That poor
yes,
Rhodian.
and in my heart too.
I don't understand what my son could be of use in a mission like this, the Admiral says. But
He's a fine young Rhodian, a good friend, and I was just hoping to spend more time with him, but that's neither here nor there.
Saren, the Admiral says, is this possible? Sounds like time's of the essence. Where...
It is, with my knowledge of the base layout and a couple of potential entry points, I believe so. And I strongly believe that this is about your only opportunity to do so. More reinforcements to there. They learn what you've done with that communications base. It won't be long before they find out where the fleet is again. One thing I did not mention. The reactor that they're running there needs to be cooled actively. And that active cooling runs its way down through the lake from which the base got its name. I do know from my time there and a couple of friends that worked in the maintenance section that there is a series of coolant pipes that we could potentially, if we can get near the base, use to bypass the walls.
How long
However-
would it take? Sorry, Saren. We if it needs to be actively cooled, could we not just obstruct the pipes and let the station take care of itself? It would even look like an accident that way.
It would be noticed immediately.
Okay.
And it wouldn't look
have-
like an accident for long. As soon as the power were to go down, I'm sending the entire fleet in. We need that shield down. That has to be our primary objective, Shaw says. The fleet
The
can take...
reactor is a good target, but not like that.
With the shield up, we can't hit it from orbit.
So the
Do you think
primary
if-
objective would be the power. Secondary would be hypervelocity gun. Ideally taking it and using it against the station, but taking it offline should be enough to allow the fleet to come in, no?
Well, the Admiral speaks up. If the shield is down, we can attempt to hit the hypervelocity cannon. That would put the fleet at risk of being blasted by the damn thing. And I don't know if you've seen the damage they can do. With enough ships willing to fly straight into it, for better lack of a term, we might be able to take it down, but there'll be casualties. We can disable the cannon, that would be great, but if the shield is up, it still doesn't matter. We still can't hit the base. He pulls up the image a little bit wider, and you can see the turbo lasers kind of surrounding it. You can see a lot of the anti-air that seems a bit higher that you guys have brought the information for. Not all of it is super detailed. You can only make out a few of like some of the gun positions.
Well, one thing I may be able to help with. When I said to my companion here that this is where I was stationed, inside that was what I meant. Internal layout is, or most of it at least, pretty familiar to me. If we can get in there, I'm sure I can direct us to the right locations. Disable that place.
Worst case scenario, Saren, is there any way we could use that lambda under the shield to take that thing out, or at least disable it for a while? Or is it just too hardened?
Clearly my information is somewhat out of date, but when I was last there, the base defenses were very solid, but perhaps somewhat less so if we can get ourselves under the shields and remain low, underneath the main guns. Everything up on the walls will struggle to track us down there. We'll be dealing with maybe more personal weapons only, but it would still be a risk.
Substantial amount, I'd imagine, just based on what we can see here. And he gestures toward the number of walkers that seem to be rowed up, not in like a formation for combat, more like storage.
Well, that's new.
I got a lot of kit down there.
Seems like it really is rather urgent.
I think our ideal plan is going to be going without detection as long as possible, possibly long enough to accomplish our objectives. And then hopefully we'll have enough support from orbit that most of the resistance we'd come across, we'd have help with.
One thing we have on our side, this is an Imperial resupply base. There, almost nobody knows anybody. There are troops in and out constantly. As long as we stay away from upper command and the teams that remain stationed on the base at all times, we may well be able to pass undercover.
Well, that's probably our best bet then. I don't see any other way we're going to do this.
Admiral speaks up for a moment and says, you said something about another way to infiltrate the base. It didn't involve the Lambda? What was it? Coolant pipes?
Coolant pipes and potentially traveling under the lake, under the old structure. A lot of it has been repurposed from the city that was here before. Making our way in either down the pipes or underwater with the pipes, potentially.
Wouldn't those lead to the generator? Wouldn't anything in there get... How big of pipes are we talking? Can the Lambda fit through there? Not that...
Possibly. A fighter? Potentially. My
I
original
assume they'd
intent was
recognize your
fighters.
fighter.
Well, that depends rather whether or not they know.
Well, the only problem with that plan is that we'd have to modify vehicles to you said under the lake, right? So in the water.
Yes.
We'd have to modify some vehicles to be able to do that. Can't imagine us submerging a Y-Wing is going to be a great idea. I'm sure the mechanics would give us some looks.
Not only that, but we also need to be able to get to the point where we can get into those pipes without being spotted. It's one hell of a risk, and the pipes, once in them, are long, and as far as I'm aware, and forgive me, this is where we escape my knowledge of the base. My knowledge of the reactor is limited. After about a mile, we should find some way of accessing that reactor from the pipes without, obviously, going directly into it.
I think as soon as we're taking anything but that Lambda and we've given up all of our advantages, I don't think we'll be able to get any fighters in, so our best bet might just be getting into the base itself using that shuttle.
Agreed.
Well, we have at least one fighter that may be able to make it. While my ship is unusual, it is not unique. And the normal response on seeing someone flying that is not to ask too many questions. The real question is, Admiral, do you have any captured Imperial fighters, or is there some way we can disguise ourselves down to that point?
As for Imperial craft, he turns back towards the window. We don't have any fighters. We've got that. And he points out the window. And you see the Mythic out there. Nothing smaller than that. If you're talking about Imperial equipment, sure, we've got some somewhere along the fleet. Probably have a set of armor here and there, even aboard this ship.
We need in that ship without them going. You need in that base without them going on high alert. So
The Lambda sounds like it's got clearance. Anything else would have to bluff its way through.
I think
For
the
now.
Lambda and your tie is our only real shot to get in. Anything else we try to take only lessens our chance of success. It's not worth the advantage it would give us once in if it makes it harder for us to get in.
We could maybe keep the Gazanti somewhere out in orbit, providing extra detail to the fleet. That way, if it's discovered, it doesn't look so suspicious. But I agree. I think our best chance is taking the Lambda, maybe the fighter, and going in, as much as I hate to leave Veronica here.
Admiral's kind of rubbing his chin for a moment, realizing how important this conversation is and how this plan... We're only going to get one chance at this.
we need to go with our strongest card, and that card may be landing outside of the base and trying to go in on foot.
We might be able
You
to
say
land inside the base.
Yes, we may be able to land it inside the base. Or it may go wrong. That's one big roll of the dice.
It'll easily go wrong. But this is also using the fewest resources from the fleet. If it works, then we're in a much better position. If it doesn't, then we've only lost a captured shuttle and 4 pilots.
He looks over the two of you, having this conversation. Well, once you're in the base, being able to contact us will be nigh impossible. And communications will be routed through most likely the same tower that the shield generator is operating on. So we'll have to coordinate this mission. We'll have to strike while there's an opening if you manage to bring down the shield or take down the generator or whatever the objective is once you get inside. Main objective has to be that shield generator, or we will not be able to damage that base at all with the fleet. This is going to be about timing.
So you guys need to be in a nearby system, as close as you can get. Maybe split the task force into 3 or 4 parts. That way, if one is discovered, it's not the end of the world. Maybe we even launch a diversionary strike somewhere. I don't know.
That's actually not a bad idea. If we... Saren, what would happen if the base came under attack? Would that offer you a distraction enough to get inside? Would that help in any way?
It'd certainly buy ourselves an extra reason why a Lambda and its accompanying fighter would need to land without too much questioning. Allow us to get in there fast in the midst of chaos, and we might just draw some of the You must understand this is a supply base. Not everything you see will be manned. A lot of this is here in staging, ready to be moved out. In
I
the
like that
chaos we
idea.
arrive. Perhaps, Admiral. I know this is asking you a lot because for whichever pilot this might be, it's potentially suicide. But arranging to have us chased down would be doubly effective, I feel. A reason to land fast, a reason for them to make sure that every available unit is responding to stuff away from us.
I've been thinking about that. I was thinking of the little stunt you pulled with the Y-Wing pilots. It doesn't even need to be a person. It could be a droid that does it. The only thing I see about that is if we are being chased, when we land, there's going to be even more scrutiny on us.
That's a fair point. And if we used a droid, it wouldn't be very convincing. They're not the best pilots.
Especially if we have your tie with us, they'll just wonder why you didn't shoot it down.
I think we should...
And a small grin comes onto Saren's face. I can think of one pilot would relish the challenge.
be thinking our A-Wing pilot from a few days ago. Lone survivor of an...
Keith.
Keith, yes.
I have no doubt he would take the mission if we asked for a volunteer.
I do agree, though, with what Osh said. That means I think we have to stay to one ship, or else it's just not very convincing. I think that's probably the best course of action anyway. It limits our ways out, but I don't think there was any... Unless you were going to arrive at a different point and go on your own, it doesn't make sense for us to be escorted, because we weren't escorted out. And from what we know, that wasn't scheduled either.
The more creative we get, the more likely they're going to think something is up.
My thinking behind the AD in particular, well, there's a certain uniform worn by pilots of a certain level, and the sort of uniform that, again, doesn't get asked too many questions.
Were you an Emperor's hand or something? Jesus.
I don't know what those words mean.
Yeah, me neither, probably.
Everyone seems very confused, including you.
Maybe I should watch more lore videos on EckhartsLadder.
Sorry, that wasn't me. That was Lieutenant Timothy Zahn who said that.
Goddamn Minox flying through here. The meta Minox. So,
Better Minox.
goddamn meta Minox. So, Admiral speaks. What would happen if a shuttle came under attack or was damaged?
Scramble the base fighters, assuming that they weren't otherwise engaged. Base doesn't run that much of an active complement itself. It relies very heavily on the fleet above and its own defenses.
And they would scramble these to chase off the attacker. Would they pay any mind to a Lambda? Being a supply base?
Under those circumstances, chances are flight control's rather busy.
What about the fleet itself?
Well, I believe the goal here was to remove the fleet from the equation.
That's right. Okay. Just if they leave anything in orbit, including the Golan, that means the fighter's going to have... We're going to have to outrun them. We're going to have to hope the Golan doesn't tell us to dock with it. That's the only thing I'm concerned about. I just feel like there's a lot of ways this can go wrong. If we come in and the Golan sees us being chased by an A-Wing, we don't immediately go towards...
No, I think the plan was somewhat different, the Admiral was suggesting. The A-Wing's no longer chasing the Lambda. The A-Wing is chasing me. And the Lambda just happens to arrive at the same time.
I like that plan much more.
I'm fairly certain that I am skilled enough to make it look like I am legitimately being chased. Do you have a pilot that's skilled enough to make sure it looks like I am?
I don't mind doing that.
thinks for a moment.
You get a slight chuckle from it. Like, Saren can't help himself. It's the only levity you've seen from him at all. Is just a... and then he catches himself.
Why? Why do you laugh at me?
Keith might be able to do it. Hera for sure, but I'd be remiss to use that asset just now.
Keith would love the chance.
What?
He's pathetic. I could do it. But okay.
We need you on the ground with us, Neytiri. That's the only reason that this wouldn't. That's why Saren was laughing.
How quickly could you get into position? The Admiral says. Kind of cutting everyone off. He seems to be taking a little... How long would that hypervelocity cannon be online if this worked? However you get to it, from orbit to ground, into the station to wherever you need to be.
Saren, this is a you question, I think.
The base is large. If we're discovered and we need to move fast, 2 hours perhaps, to actually take things down fully. I understand you want this place vulnerable, but ideally more time.
That's rough. That's a lot of time. Kind of leans back in his chair. If we committed the fleet to an attack at the Golan platform and tried to keep the majority of the fleet behind it, caused as much trouble and havoc as we could and got them to launch their fighters and then sped away. In that confusion, you might be able to make it. A Lambda would be nothing. Another TIE fighter flying the wrong way compared to... He gestures toward the window. Would that improve your chances? When the shield is down, at an arranged time, I bring everything to bear. And either the shield is down, or it's not. This base has to end here.
We can do it. We can do it or we'll be dead too.
I agree. Time is of the essence.
We gotta go
Is
now. We can
not
figure out the
long.
details.
You get the sense that you've got to figure him out, like, kind of right now. Because you're gonna lose contact, basically. Unless they're in orbit, unless they're close. Once you're in that shield, you're not gonna be able to transmit out.
What do you think, Saren? 4 hours from 4 hours plus hyperspace time, maybe?
Put it this way. If things get hot down there and we're discovered, we're going to be getting a broadcast out regardless. If things go to all hell, maybe we'll have to cut it down shorter, but ideally, 4 hours would be great. We don't want to cause a ruckus until the time is right.
You think we can use that Gazanti that we have stationed in orbit to help relay a transmission?
Ship just sitting in orbit of the planet, not moving anywhere? I think that'd be noticed.
What about Veronica? It's small enough that it might not be noticed.
Maybe. What do you think, Saren?
Jeez.
How could we... Some way to hide it? It'd have to still be inside the shield, and you'd have to have access to it.
I feel like this again gets back to the idea that anything extra we try to take with us is only going to decrease our chances of success in the primary mission.
Oh, oops, that's the wrong button. That was not the music
The
back
base has
button.
been destroyed. We have succeeded. Everyone.
I just rewound the table instead of hitting the music back button. I don't know what's gonna happen. Sorry. All right. So you get the sense that you need to come up with kind of a time frame of how this is gonna work. With travel, just a quick kind of clarification. Once you guys are on the deck, like, it depends on how long you're in that base for. If everything goes fine, you should be able to move pretty quickly. That's intense. but you need to come up with a plan now for when the fleet should come in to basically take the base out, if you're successful, and however you're going to pull that off. Oh, good grief.
All right. How about this? We'll set a time. You're gonna have to split the fleet up. Hope that we do it. If we don't, and the shield's still up, you're gonna have to leave. You're probably gonna take a shot from that hypervelocity gun. But I mean, that's the best we can do.
If you'd be able to figure out the exact location or a good location to come out that the hypervelocity gun would be out of range, or you'd be able to put the Golan station between yourselves and it to just see if the shield's down, that would at least give you some response time. But I think the 2-hour estimate is probably what we should go for. Add 15 minutes to that.
So, is a portion of the fleet going to drop out either right before or after the Lambda arrives to be the largest distraction, make them think the base is under attack? That way you're coming in during the chaos? Or are you going to try to sneak in beforehand?
I think we would be better off leaving the fleet and having Saren and the A-Wing be the distraction. Otherwise, we might risk recalling some of the defensive fleet. I think we should do a feint elsewhere. A very small feint with a small portion of the fleet. Drag as many Imperials away as we can and not pull them back.
Make it look like an ace is running back to the one place he knew would be safe.
Yes.
Got chased by, I don't know, if you've got a... Obviously not the Gazanti. I suspect the Mystic is something you want to keep up your sleeve, but a small portion of the fleet, something convincing enough to believe that they arrived, saw something they weren't supposed to, and left.
Okay. We can do that.
A few A-Wings, maybe. Wouldn't take much. Just enough that the base takes it seriously.
Right.
Did we say 2.5 hours after we get in system? So 2.5 hours plus initial hyperspace jump before the fleet tries to get there?
All right. And then... So 2.5 hours after you guys get there. Gotcha. We'll bring in the fleet. And then we'll come in with the chase. The trace group of A-Wings is what it sounds like. We'll have Keith lead that.
That should be good, because anything more, and I think we risk recalling the fleet, which is not going to go well for the later attack.
So yes, the A-Wings come with us around the same time as the shuttle, so that Saren can bring the fighter in. We get down to the planet, the A-Wings are chased off or leave, whatever they end up doing. And then 2.5 hours after that moment, the fleet should be clear to jump in, or will have failed, and there's no way for us to get a message out anyways.
2.5 hours,
we'll
the
be dead,
attack.
so we won't care.
Make sure that shield is down at 2.5 hours on the mark. If the shield is up, we do no damage, and we're going to be taking hypervelocity rounds left and right.
Okay.
We're on a time limit.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Can we take the pilots with us?
Yes.
That
And
young one?
Admiral looks at you and Admiral says, you have clearance for the pilots. We'll calm down. Actually, we'll have them sent to the hangar bay. If you need anything, tell us now, or tell the ground crew in the hangars what you need before they go. I will get the A-Wings prepped and launched immediately, and they'll meet you outside the hangar for the first jump.
Could use the slicer's kit if you got one lying around.
You might want to think about making yourself look a little bit more imperial while you're at it.
Oh, so don't be an
Right,
alien.
the gear.
Yeah, I feel like an Itachi, a Khalida Heen, and a Zeltron are not going to look the most imperial no matter what we're wearing.
Damn. Forgot about that.
I think
Well.
it's best that the pilots get in and they don't notice us.
Materi, can that hair of yours fit under a helmet? He says with a bit of a
Yes.
smile.
That'll take a few months to regrow after the flamethrower incident.
Ooh.
No,
Oh.
bad observation, loser. It's absolutely fine.
It's not
So.
how Bacta works.
We'll send you a series of any Imperial equipment that we have on hand that might work. We'll have it sent to the hangar, and you can choose what'll work for you.
Yeah,
Sounds
let's
like a
just
plan.
back if you got one, please, Admiral. I'm taking down his shield. I'm gonna need help.
And with that, Shaw looks over at the computer, that weird computer that you had pulled out of the hands of that technician, and Data's been pulled out of this, so don't need it now. Here. Throws it over to you. It's this folded data pad as you open it up. It's fairly high tech. You had gotten a glance of it, but you didn't really take a close look. This might be what you're looking for. And it is. It is a slicer's computer.
I'm an idiot.
You never took a close look at it. You just were like, oh, that's weird. Data pad.
I'm an idiot. Okay, thank you.
If you need some data spikes, we can have those sent as well.
Please do.
So that gear. So go ahead and mark down 2 data spikes. The gear and equipment that they have for you in the hangar will be as many stormtrooper uniforms, full armor, as requested, because this is like the most important mission this fleet can possibly do at this moment. So they're not holding back any assets, and that's the idea that you would have had during that briefing, is that whatever they've got, everything that you saw in that fleet was there for this job, right? So if there's any other planning that you guys want to do, if there's anything that you want to change about it, remembering the fleet structure, the ships that were there, everybody that you've met, everything that you've learned about, get the sense that, this is that moment of use the assets while you've got them. Because there's no going back at this point.
Well, I need my items back. And is there a place where we can buy some stuff?
It depends what you're looking for. There is a quartermaster here. You've been to him.
Have I got enough though?
Well, what are you looking for?
No, I was just wondering if I could get any new clothes or something.
Oh, we're about to wear stormtrooper armor.
Yeah, are you guys gonna get into? Are you guys going undercover
well,
and going full like head to toe like pilot gear? There's stormtrooper gear. So let me go through that. There's tech gear. There's gonna be pilot armor. So the black armor with the large helmets. Stormtrooper, shore trooper. Basically, if you can think of an armor that would be kind of generally issued, they've got a couple sets of it for missions that might be more espionage related or undercover. This all works for everyone, but you, Osh. That armor really wouldn't fit you. You'd be the shortest stormtrooper anybody had ever seen.
Do we put him inside an astromech?
I mean,
Can you? Would you like to try? You guys have an Imperial astromech.
And your father was Kenny Baker.
You guys have an Imperial astromech, if you remember.
I am a tinkerer.
I think let's try it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
In the hangar, you see the droid that believes he is the greatest droid detective that has ever beeped. Comes up to you and asks, well, how could I be of assistance, sir?
I would like to be.
I'm going to be honest, my dude. We're going to gut you.
Oh, shit. And he turns and tries to flee.
I'm sure there's a way that we could just borrow your...
With the people in the hangar there, they would be able to kind of corral him.
What does that mean?
They stop him from running away. He beeps. He whips around. Do not wipe my circuit, sir. I'm an asset.
Listen, bud, relax, okay? We're going to save your circuits. We're going to save your memory core. We're going to save your battery. We're going to wipe your search history, don't worry. And we're just borrowing your shell. That's it, okay? We're just borrowing your shell. We're going to put short stuff in there in it, and you'll go down in history as one of the greatest droids that ever existed. A master investigator and a good friend.
Roll for me negotiations or charm in this instance. And go ahead and take 3 boost die as you have played up to his particular interest in life very well. All those are indicating that he really does want to be famous.
Please.
So people will see him the way that he sees himself.
Can you clear my die for me?
I think you're just not clicking on the button.
There you go.
I was.
You're not promoted. Let me promote you. It's fine. For that, it's going to be an average check.
Okay. 2 success, 0 advantage.
Okay. He stops.
Ladies and
Say,
gentlemen.
Marge, get the ice cream scoop.
What? Now I want you to roll me a mechanics check to see if you can rig quickly, because this is going to be I'll say mechanics or computers allow you to do both for this whole check, as you're basically just gutting this droid and leaving enough for controls for someone to have enough space be inside it, to have a power source of the motors, and then to rig some kind of control mechanism to be able to drive it around inside. This wouldn't work if you weren't so small, by the way. Corey.
It wouldn't be necessary if I weren't so small.
For this, I will say this is going to be a hard check. This is not an easy thing to do, and not in the time frame that you're under.
Or anything.
Do you have anything that gives you a boost?
Just looking.
If you have any specialization stuff, now's the time to use it.
So, I mean, the Tinkerer allows me to add hard points to items. I mean, I don't think it
is Asha a hard point. This is a good rule
I've got
question.
two
You are not a
like
hard point.
Okay.
Oh.
Sorry, you're not a hard point, and the difficulty really. If you took your time on this, it'd be fine. But you guys are on a time limit, so it's a hard check.
Okay.
And this is who.
Can I get a destiny token then?
If you'd like to flip it, flip it.
Okay, so I'll turn that one into that. Is it hard difficulty?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We did it.
My God.
3 success, 1 threat.
Okay. 3 success, 1 threat. You managed to rig. It's really simplistic, right? There is duct tape in there. There are sharp, pointy corners in there. It is horribly uncomfortable. It's hot. It's stuffy as you kind of slide in. You barely have room to use the controls, Osh. And while you're in there, it's so uncomfortable. It's just causing strain. So take 1 strain from that 1 threat that was just rolled. And you may find that it may cost you more strain as you're stuck in there. It's not a very livable condition. But you're in, and it works. And as you use the controls, you drive around. You're like looking through a few boreholes that are set up where there used to be rivets. You barely can see out it, but you are in this thing, and you are driving a astromech, a imperial astromech. So your character at the moment.
While this is going on, can Saren just stay behind with the Admiral for a moment and say, would be appropriate if we acquired some explosives as well, I would imagine. I assume we're cleared for this whereabouts.
Yes, absolutely. Do you have any particular in mind, or do you need a explosive expert? I was also going to ask, do you want to take on another fire team? I know that won't help with sneaking aboard, but if they maybe stay on the Lambda, could they be useful to you? I could send a Pathfinder group with you.
Are we able to disguise them similarly? I think it would be believable that we were running with a group aboard the Lambda, stays aboard until it flies out again.
Ooh, okay. Interesting. I'm going to give you a dice to represent how many uniforms they've got. Right?
Cool.
So here is a...
Where's my uniform die?
Here's your uniform die right here. Okay, this is a D8. So they need enough Imperial kit to make them look like a unit. You guys didn't take anything from the planet that you were on, and most of it would have been bloody or scorched.
We took one thing that they can have. It's not that helpful, but the clone armor I was wearing.
Oh, yeah, that's not going to be useful at all. But hey, they got clone armor. So roll that dice. He's offering you like a 4-man fire team at this point. There are 2 uniforms. So you could have 2 people with you, or they could just go in their standard equipment and just like try to stay on the Lambda. You don't know if that's going to give you away or not, but it might be nice to have the firepower. That is an asset at your disposal. They have 4 full sets of Stormtrooper gear for these guys. Or 2 sets of Stormtrooper gear.
Just to explain to everyone else, party-wise, why I'm going to say yes to this is we need a way back out of here again. So if we can have that there, that might be an option. At least that way it may be held.
Makes sense to me.
So you're going to get green light on. What do you want? Do you want the 2 guys or the 4?
I'm going to green light. I assume this is going to be a minion group, right?
Yeah, there'll be a minion group. There'll be the beefy one, because they're not going to be normal troops. They're going to be Pathfinders.
Yeah.
They're going to be a bit more hardcore.
I'll get the 2. I think that's more convincing.
The 2? Okay, in Stormtrooper gear. All right. He says, well, I'll get them to you as soon as possible. And it doesn't take very long as you guys are gutting this droid and turning it into basically a remote control little like run around vehicle thing for Osh. They send you 2 faces that you immediately recognize. 2 volunteers. Have the human gunner, and Styx, the marksman that you met in the first episode.
Nice.
Have looks over at Osh and he gets a big smile. I heard you were looking for help on a suicide mission, and I couldn't say no and pay you back.
Well, hopefully this won't be a suicide, but very appreciative that you're coming, I say from inside of the droid.
Echoing inside this hollowed out droid. Yeah, well, you did me a turn, and he points to the neck, which looks like it's healed pretty well. He's still got a little bit of a scar there, that hasn't fully healed yet. You did me a good turn, and so I owe you. We're happy to help.
I'll do my best to make sure you make it out again.
So we're doing what now? They didn't give us much of a briefing as he sees this cart of Imperial gear like rolled into the hangar bay and brought to you, Saren. There's a Stormtrooper helmet on top of it.
I'm just gonna butt in and say, honestly, we gotta go. We can explain on the way.
Right. Well, we brought our kit.
And hopefully some charges. He would have, when asked earlier, specified detonate.
All right. So
Now, where are those pilots? Did they grab those pilots yet?
you are given a very familiar bag of detonite charges. A very familiar bag.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
So, okay. Those are those little like half circle explosive charges. The more that are rowed up together, the more that you use, the bigger the explosion ends up being. It like magnifies it. That's actually the mechanic for it in the game. So, okay. All right. So you guys load up. You're loading up into the Lambda. Yeah, I'll just say for narrative sake, you guys give them a brief. There's a lot of grumbling when they're handed in Stormtrooper helmets, but eventually they, all right, fine. Whatever. They start putting on the gear, stowing their that crate company uniforms that they were wearing into the storage compartments in the Lambda because they didn't have a chance to change, like inside some of the lock boxes and locking them down. And they're very disappointed when they have to pull up these ye old E11s Stormtroopers and getting rid of their rifles, and they leave those on the ship because it's safe for them to carry them undercover. All right.
I'm just looking through the equipment. Is it? I see Storm Commando armor. What's Stormtrooper armor under?
Laminate.
Can't find-
It's just called laminate.
Laminate. Okay.
And
What's the droid shell armor under?
I will say, because you're in a metal box, I'll say it gives you. I'll say you're in full cover. I will say it gives you 3 setbacks while you're in there, but it also gives you 3 setbacks to any attempts to do anything where you're inside that, like you're trying to shoot out or reach your hand out and do something. You'll have 3 setbacks anything you try. Cool.
Fair enough.
Okay. So
Saren. Saren will come walk, because I assume everyone's in the hangar at this point.
yeah, everybody's in the hangar. Okay, so we'll just kind of bring it back to the hangar. You guys are just about to leave. What's up?
Yeah, well, he's walking into the hangar, wearing a uniform no one has seen him in as of yet. With a rather familiar looking dark black helmet, Imperial symbol on one side, chest piece, with the usual rank insignias, amongst which you'll note are a number of red marks.
A noticeable red stripe down one arm, right where the Imperial logo is, all the way down to his cuff.
And as he walks out, in one hand, he'll be carrying the E11 that he took earlier, holding it up.
Osh is like peeking out. If anyone is going to be overhearing our communications, what rank should we address you as, Saren?
That would depend. Technically Commander, but Baron is preferred.
Very well.
And I'll say, well, I guess that explains a lot.
Osh's head pokes back out. So we're supposed to call you Baron Saren?
No. Baron Varga.
Baron Saren it is. I'll go back in the droid.
You get a lot of head turns from the people in the hangar bay. Not quite sure why someone with a Imperial Baron Ace uniform has walked in. They recognize your face, though. And they see you working with the other members of Crate Company, with the members of your squadron, who's gotten a little bit of a reputation at this point. The word from the Mythic and some upcoming operation and a little bit of the hub seems to have spread among the troops.
He's gonna be like just very clearly ignoring them. Like head doesn't turn, as if they're not as if nothing normal is going on. He's gonna walk up to Wash. I suspect this is the time where this might come in useful, and he's gonna hand over the sniper.
Me?
I think you're the one that's got ranged heavy.
I am.
Yeah.
Do you mind
then-
putting that on the ship? I don't have much room here.
I kind of love the idea, I'm not gonna lie, of an astromech with a slinged, like
Yep.
E11, what is it, E11D, the big old sniper rifle, the long barrel, longer than he is tall, strapped to his back, like mag locked to the back or something. Flip a destiny point, and I will totally allow that.
Yes.
Yep.
Done. Sweet. That is an astromech with a sniper rifle.
We couldn't get ourselves a chopper, but we did the next best thing.
I can swear as much as you want.
I will also say, with the rig, just to describe this, it is like a trash can hatch. You know, like we push the button and the trash can opens up at the top. That's basically the hinges that they put onto the droid that you've gutted, more or less. And that's how you get in and out of it. It opens up, and it's just hollow inside, except for its power source and its controls and its motors.
I'll just say, if anyone asks, you're holding that for me. Because I think people might notice that you're got a sniper sling to your back.
What's the rifle called?
I think it's the E11S, maybe.
Yeah, it might be the S.
Do we have any sort of
give you that.
backpacks or anything with us? Like a stormtrooper backpack?
Yeah, so
Otherwise-
I will say part of your kit, if you can just count your backpack as you've swapped it out to an Imperial variant, so that you're not just running around with whatnot.
Okay, cool.
All right, so where are we at? It's 9 now. How are you guys feeling? Do you want to keep going, or should we wrap it up here? And then the next one is the infiltration, and most likely the last episode.
I could go a bit longer if you guys can.
Am I able to wrap up a little early here? It's just
Okay.
it's coming up to 3 a.m. on my part.
Oh, yeah, man.
I'm really sorry.
No worries. I know we were going to call it a little bit earlier today, so... All right, so that's where we'll wrap it up. You guys are you're loading up into the Lambda. You've got your two companions, these infantrymen from Crate Company that you met in the first episode with you, geared up or currently trying to figure out how to put on Stormtrooper armor. Some bits are upside down, and they're trying to how do they wear this shit? The Lambda's getting warmed up. You roll the astromech up the ramp into it, knowing that the mission that you're about to go on and the plan as it stands involves the lives of thousands of rebels. It has you infiltrating an Imperial base. It's incredibly high risk. And you hope that this is the best plan. Decisions have been made and a schedule is set. If you can't take that shield generator down, then a large number of this fleet will be destroyed. That being said, this could turn the tide in the mid-rim if you're victorious. And with that, we will end this episode. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you guys for being wonderful players. I'm loving your characters. You've done a great job, especially as my first time playing tabletop with you, Eck, and you, Charlie. You guys are doing great.
Yeah, I feel so bad for having to end up a little early here. It's because I want to do the final episode properly without me being tired and stuff.
No worries, man. No worries. And we talked we were gonna end it a little earlier today because I know you guys have been going pretty hard with the tournament. When's your guys' next tournament match?
We're done until that was it for this tournament. We're done until next month.
Till next month?
Yeah.
All right. Cool beans. All right. Well, let's go around the table
Done.
until the
Yeah.
next
Practice.
practice. Yeah.
Practice.
You
Yeah,
gonna?
we'll be practicing a lot probably.
So is anybody streaming tonight?
Oh, there's a question.
I might do a bit of Squadrons on Twitch. Are you gonna play Wasted, Corey?
If you're up for some Squadrons, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna head to bed here.
All right. So if you guys want to see some Squadrons, head on over to where are you streaming? I know we're Wasted streaming, Wasted Space Twitch.
I'll probably stream on Twitch, but maybe not actually. It is getting kind of late for me too. Maybe I'll save it for tomorrow.
All right. Well, then I might stream something if Wasted's down. If you guys are gonna.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, if you guys want to find these guys, head on over to Corey Loses. If you want to check out some cool modding content and see what's up with Ron's Revenge and Fall of the Republic, or check out EckhartsLadder. You guys know where he's at, doing all of the Star Warsy lore stuff. Or Eck 2 with Charlie and Eck. A lot of gaming content over there. And then Wasted Space over the Wasted Space YouTube channel and Twitch. I will see you all in the next one. Thank you guys for watching. Bye, y'all.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Cheers,
Great
everyone.
map, Shaq.
Cheers, Shaq. Amazing map.
Oh, man. Thanks, guys. All right, I'm going to talk to chat for a little bit. Later, guys.
No worries. Thanks
Bye.
again.
All
It was
right.
fun, guys.
All right, so let's have a little chat. I think that went pretty well. It was a shorter stream. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Next episode probably going to be the last one, as they are heading for the imperial logistical base that they've been, kind of finding out about as the story has progressed, which is pretty epic. I'm actually really happy. I'm really happy with their characters and how everything has gone. It's been really fun. Really fun. We're gonna enjoy this a lot. I'm probably going to stream over on Twitch tonight, so if you guys want to join us over there, it'll probably be like half hour before that. And then we will most likely be doing this again next Sunday, not Saturday. That's going to be the new day, at least for this series, if it goes on longer than just next week. But it should be Sunday, same time, 7 p.m. Let me just go through real quick and drop some thank yous. Wolf donated 12 minutes ago for $10. Hey, Cam, I'd love to see more tabletop on the channel. I want to do a video, Wolf, about, let's see, that was Wolf Bane. About how I make these maps, so you guys can check it out and figure out, like, there are little like tricks here and there on how to use Tabletop Simulator that I'm happy to make a video on. I know there's been a lot of questions about that. Mostly it's assets on the workshop, and then just kind of like a game of Legos, put it together and build maps, and you can make some pretty cool stuff, or play as simple as just a 2D map. You don't need all this craziness. You can literally just put a JPEG in there and go for it, which is pretty cool. Cody, thank you for the 2. Oh no, I'm an hour late. What happened? You're gonna have to go back and watch it, Cody. But thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Imperial Ace, thank you for the 5. Just caught up with the series yesterday. Love the tabletop content. Oh, thanks. Glad you're able to catch up. All the series is available on YouTube in the playlist. I did update it yesterday, so everything should be on there. You gonna try Grimhammer? I hope so. SFO got an update. Yeah, Dark Flame. Yeah, that's a mod for Warhammer that I'm actually quite interested in playing, but I gotta play that Fallout mod. Frontier is out. Peasman, thank you for the $10. Don't know if it's good or bad, but I finally able to catch a live stream. Thanks to me having COVID. Oh man, I hope you feel better. Sorry to hear you caught the vid. Take care of yourself, and hopefully it passes over smoothly for you, man. Peasman, appreciate the 10 though. The Man, thank you for the 5. Revenge of the Gonk, indeed. Zesty, thank you for the 5. And NEBC, thank you for the 2. You guys are amazing. All right, y'all. I'm going to head off. Oh, Matthew, thank you for becoming a member. Zesty, thank you for the 5. Joel, thank you for the 5. And Shadow, thank you for becoming a member. You guys are awesome. And Kazak, thank you for the 2. All right, I'm going to head off. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being subscribed and joining us for all the craziness. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, guys. Bye, y'all.